Greetings, Patrick here, along with Eric. Hey, Internet, it's Eric, and we're the Schlock Brothers for the month.
Yeah, yeah. This has been an interesting month, and this is an interesting. You are an interesting sibling. I'll say that if we're Schlock brothers.
That's right. I think what people are surprised at, as much as I love, much as I love serious films, and I do, but
Hmm.
I enjoy the cheese. I admit it. I
So do
enjoy
I.
the cheese.
So do
Um,
I.
yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. Um, I used to, me and Lori Ann, my wife, we used to, every Saturday, I'd be in front of the Sci-Fi Channel Saturday night, the most
Hmm.
dangerous night on television, and they would be rolling out these creature features and all these dinosaur movies and these bad short movies, and I'd be sitting there while and my wife would sit there and say, how much money does one of these movies make? I would stand up, reach into my pocket, and whatever change I had, I said, there you go. That's how much,
Hmm.
right? You know, but I love
Bro,
them.
I'll tell you this. Despite what we're going to talk about, and maybe rant a little bit, I love my good. And I always call them garbage movies. One person's garbage is another person's treasure. I've always said that. And I've said it before. I like stupid shit like Sharknado. I grew up on the 50s big bug craze of sci-fi movie. Them,
Right.
Tarantula, that type of stuff, anything
That's
by William Castle. You know what I mean? That, it's more of an adventure in the theater than actually what you're watching on screen. So I can appreciate a good dude. One of my favorite movies from childhood, and I still love, is Howard the Duck. That's a dumb fucking movie, but you know what? It's it, it's okay to like stuff like that.
well,
So there's nothing.
I do have my limits on it, but oh,
You know what I'm saying, though.
Howard the Duck. Oh man, this is crazy. That's a. I wonder if they're gonna. I want. I'm surprised they didn't make it a cameo appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine.
I'm surprised.
I'm surprised too. They threw everything but the kitchen sink at that, and we're like, well, why not bring Howard the Duck into it? I mean, he needs to be seen again.
Hmm.
Um, wow, yeah, me too. I mean, for me, I grew up watching all the Godzilla movies.
Okay.
One of the very first things I ever saw on TV, like because I didn't get to see a lot of TV when I was growing up.
Hmm.
But one of the first things I can remember is watching the Ultraman on one of those UHS channels,
Okay.
and it was just like, and after that, then it was Godzilla, and
Hmm.
watching Godzilla and the creature features, the Black Scorpion from Hell it came and all that,
Yeah.
and of course then we got into the Universal monsters too,
Hmm.
and we back then we didn't know it then, but there was a difference between super cheese and classics.
Right. I mean, dude, my whole high school and a couple years after high school, I was a trauma guy. You know what I mean? And God bless Lloyd Kaufman. He tries his hardest, but he doesn't have a lot of the funding. So his movies are considered really bad or trash, but there can be fun found in them as well. You know what I mean? If I didn't like some of Lloyd's movies, I would not have all four Toxic Avenger movies on Blu-ray or Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD on Blu-ray. Shout outs to Ginger Ninja. He recently reviewed that in the chat. So it's all personal taste. You know what I mean? And there is no wrong answer on what you like.
No, no, no. Though, I gotta tell you this. I'm looking at the chat, and my friend Zan just put this down, and I can't think of a better sentence. She goes, "The cornier, the better," and and you know what? She could not have picked. That's gonna be the post of the night right there. The
I
cornier,
well,
the
I
better.
we'll get into corn and any of that type of shit. So trust me.
Trauma rocks. Yes, yeah, trauma does rock.
Yes,
And
sir.
unfortunately, though, I guess the Toxic Avenger movie that they're going to remake, I guess that got squashed, being unreleasable.
It'll get out. It'll be released eventually on a streaming service or something like that. It's just, or you know what? Maybe it's good marketing. You never really know. It's hard to imagine because the Toxic Avenger films have such a huge following. It really does. Plus, it's got Peter Dinklage. He's still riding on that Game of Thrones high. It's got Kevin Bacon. It's got Elijah Wood. It's gonna come out.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out.
I mean, there are some movies that, like when we were putting this together,
Mm-hmm.
and we were putting this together, and it was funny because it's like you want to go there and you're going like, well, I'm gonna go get the 5 worst movies I possibly could get. But then you start thinking about it. At least I did. I started thinking about it and going like, I don't mind 1 or 2 really dark territory movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to make this like growing up, like when we sat there and you did watch a creature feature and you did
Mm-hmm.
watch it, and you're like, yeah, it was a bad movie, but we were young. We were young enough to know that we didn't know any better. We still could have our imagination still could work wonders. Like
Here's the thing. You know what I mean? Lots of people look at these movies and say they're stupid. The plot is stupid. I'm not going to really show my cards. The plot to a Ouija Shark 2 is stupid. Frenzy said it best. Spider-Man is stupid. This is a man dressing up like a spider and swinging from building to building, fighting a fucking goblin. Doesn't that sound stupid? So who are you
yeah,
to judge? A man
yeah.
dresses up like a bat and beats up a clown. Doesn't that sound stupid? It's all in
It's sort of
interpretation. It's all in the final product, and it's all in the personal taste. I've been saying it for a long time. I've always said, don't count don't say a movie is a guilty pleasure. Never feel guilty about what you like. Taste buds are different for a reason.
Yeah, I never really got that. It's a guilty pleasure. It's like,
Mm,
every movie that I ever liked, if anything, like you and I were talking about this earlier today, you did your review for Dark Saw.
mm-hmm,
And, and I was like, and you were saying, well, I never heard of this movie, and I never heard of this movie. And, until got it from another person. I'm going like myself, and we're like, I've been beating that drum since the minute I saw that movie.
mm-hmm,
That's been my #1 film for the last 6 years. It's an amazing film.
mm-hmm.
I don't. A guilty pleasure means that it's something to me. It's something you watch by yourself and you don't tell anybody you did.
Exactly.
Like how
You
the duck.
should air quotes. You should feel guilty for enjoying it. Fuck that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, love
Like
like
how
what
the
you
duck.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. You want to start? Okay. No, but no, seriously, like what you like. Who cares what other people think? What's it gonna do? One of my favorite horror movies of all time is Jason Goes to Hell.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
I'm one of the very few people, yourself included, actually holding the torch for that movie. Do I feel embarrassed that I love that movie? No, because
Oh,
if
it's
a
a
person
badass
hates
movie.
if a person hates that film, they have that right. Now, when it comes to discussing it, if if your points are valid to me why you hate it, God bless you. But you know what? I'm gonna
Nobody
like what I
knows.
like. I guarantee you, there's gonna be many people who hate that movie that like something that I think is garbage, and I like Samurai Cop. You know what I mean? So that says something.
Well, I was thinking about that too. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about that movie. And it wow, that's just yeah. I mean, guilt. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, don't feel guilty about what you enjoy. You know what I mean?
I love a good creature feature. I love a good nature amok. I like a good serious movie as well.
I love Pumpkinhead too. One of the worst one of the worst movies, air quotes, ever made. The budget is horrible. You can it's you can tell it's a man in a rubber suit because when the wind blows on him, you can see his rubber claws flapping in the wind. The acting is atrocious, but the execution from beginning to end is so much fun that
Okay,
I
but
love it.
here's why I love Pumpkinhead too, and I saw it in the theater.
Oh, really? Okay.
I love that movie. One, because I had one of my big crushes when I was growing up, and Karen Kay. Karen Kay was stunning.
Who was she in the movie? Was she the
She was
doctor?
Yeah, she played the wife of the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of the sheriff, it was the first time I ever saw Andrew Robinson play a good guy. Because at that time he was Zodiac killer in Dirty Harry.
Dirty
He was the
Harry,
bad
yeah.
guy, right? So he was always the bad guy. Every
Who's
time you
the
saw him,
asshole
and-
barber in Child's Play 3 and Hellraiser, he was, Frank,
well,
under the skin and stuff like that. Yeah, he's always playing a
right.
bad guy.
He's always played a bad guy, and next thing you know, Next thing you know, there he is playing a good guy, and he's doing a damn good job at it. And you go like, man, I really like him. I want to go back to Jason Goes to Hell too, because it's funny when you talk to people like, why don't you like the movie? And then you hear, and this is funny, people it goes right over their head, Eric. It goes
Mhm,
right over their head. They'll sit there and say, because Jason's not in the movie. He's like, it's being a spirit going from body to body to body.
mhm.
Isn't that child's play?
Yeah. Well,
Isn't that child's play? Isn't
uh,
isn't that isn't that Freddy Krueger?
I always tell people, he's technically there. Maybe we don't see him physically, other than 10 minutes here and 10 minutes there. But I also tell a lot of these people, they love Friday the 13th Part 5. Jason's not in that one at all.
No,
So why? And what I'm saying is when people use those type of arguments, you know what I mean? I hate Jason Goes to Hell because he's not in it. Do you like Part 5? Sure do. He's not in that one at all, and dream sequences don't count.
no.
So I mean, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, because I hear them talk about that, and I'm going like, man, the first of like, in a series like that, it's okay to identify the worst movie, and for me, the worst movie, if you really want to identify with it, always identify with it, and I'm all right with that, is Jason Takes Manhattan.
okay.
That has to be a universal pick because that is the worst movie in the franchise, and I could, and I mean, it really is. I mean, but it's okay. But if that's your favorite one, because you and I, when we review movies, like even in this one here, even the movies that we're going to be talking about
hmm
today, we still pulled our punches. We
I'll tell you
still,
what. I mentioned this. There's only one film in my five that I truly hated from beginning to end. I couldn't find one good thing in it. Again, kind of showing my cards a little bit. I wasn't a big fan of a Ouija Shark 2, but you watched my video and I was able to say one good thing about it.
yeah,
I was able to say one good thing about it.
yeah. I saw that was the last thing he said. He said,
Mhm.
"Fuck you, Patrick," and I was like, "Mission." I said, "Mission accomplished."
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, that's the beginning of our. Actually, goes back to the beginning of our collaboration here.
hmm
Was the fact that you love shark movies and you did Shark Week.
I do enjoy a good shark film, whether it's Jaws or just I like nature, like where I don't want to say where nature is the bad guy, but you know what I mean, like Cujo, or something like Orca, the killer whale. Where it's an animal causing the trouble, and sharks are they're just living their lives, but they can also be very scary. And I also love, I love my schlock movies too. I said it, Pumpkinhead 2, Jason Goes to Hell. Concerning shark movies, I love the Sharknado franchise because it's so much fun and self-aware. And I figured one year I'd do Shark Week on my channel. And it was hit and miss the first week, but I did discuss a Ouija shark. And I knew I was in trouble because it's a Wild Eye movie. People can love Wild Eye all you want. God bless you. I'm going to be nice because we have mutual friends that do enjoy them, and I'm not going to shit on their parade, even though I would like to and take away their umbrella. But I watched a Ouija Shark. It was one of
No.
my longest videos. It was a bit of a rant, and it was one that I appreciate that Patrick kind of championed that video of mine. And he took that video and you would be messaging me, telling me how much you enjoyed it. You would be sharing it out just for the hell of it, even months later. And you kept that's kind of where this little frenemy friendship with shark movies continued because you'd constantly be showing me previews of the next coming shark movie. Hey, look what's coming out in 6 months, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I forgot to totally bring this into the picture, which I should have done. But now that
Mhm.
we're here talking about this, but I don't know if you've ever met Brett. So this is Brett Kelly. This is my Ouija shark right here.
Okay.
As you can
I
see,
yes, you even sent me a picture of you rewatching the shark the Ouija shark video of mine with him on your
That's right.
keyboard. Yeah.
That's right. So this is Brett. Brett comes down whenever we're talking about bad shark movies. He comes down and gives his opinion about it, uh, and Brett Kelly is the man behind Ouija Shark. And what's funny about that is I'm with you about Wild Eye.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in fact, I was one of the people that I was one of the people that the owner of the company, Rob, he sent out movies for us to
Mm-hmm.
watch and review. And I was real honest. I always tell anybody who I watched the movie, I said, I can't promise you a good review or a bad one. I can only promise you an honest one. So
Yeah.
a lot of the movies that Rob sent me, I didn't review because there was no point to it because they just weren't very good. And what the hell should I just do? Why should I just continue to dump on it?
Right.
So anyway, I got sent a copy of Ouija Shark, and I'm sitting in there, and I was like, who did it? And it's some guy named Scott Patrick. I said, okay, that's all right, that's all right. Now at that time, I knew who Brett Kelly was, and I was like, no, just no. Uh, so anyway, I'm sitting here and I'm watching Ouija Shark. I'm sitting there and going like, I'm starting to get this really funny feeling about this. This is starting to play out like a Brett Kelly. And the more I thought about it, I'm going, man, this looks like, it smells like a Brett Kelly. It's got to be a Brett Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And sure shitting enough, that's what he had done. He had made a shark. He made Wheezy Shark underneath a different name because I saw an interview that he did where he said that he got tired of being beaten up on or being known
Mm-hmm.
simply as the shark guy. And you
Yeah.
want to sit there and say, well, why don't you make a good shark movie instead of one that costs $215
Right.
Canadian? Canadian.
Right. Well, see, and that's what goes into because you loved my Ouija Shark video so much,
It's so
I
good.
and I do get a good response from the people who watch, when I watch Wild Eye films, because I have a playlist of different Wild Eye films, and there's one that I love. I love Baby Frankenstein, so I cannot say that Wild Eye is a complete failure with me. I fucking love Baby Frankenstein.
It's a cool
Everything
movie.
else to me has been garbage. Now I could just be picking the worst ones, type of thing, but like Jurassic Dead, Shark Exorcist, on and on and on. And I decided, well, let's do Shitty Shark Week. And then that was the worst decision I ever freaking made on my channel. It
Now,
was,
how did you pick your movies? I mean, like we put like for this one, like we put some thought into the movies that we picked this time. We
I
did.
honestly, okay, here for Shitty Shark Week, it was 7 shark movies, that it wasn't Shitty Shark Week initially. By Wednesday, that's what I started giving it that name because it just happened to go that way. I literally just went on Tubi and found some of the coolest posters, movie posters on Tubi, and those are all false advertising. You know what I mean? And I started watching them, and it ended up sadly becoming a Mark Polonia fest. You know what I mean? And I started off really on the wrong foot and then stubbing my toe on that wrong foot with Sharkula. You know what I mean? And like you said, why can't you make a good movie instead of a bad movie for $215 Canadian? Mark Polonia is making it for like negative 250. Like he owes the government money when he makes it. And that's what I say. Like if you make a bad film, at least if you're trying, God bless you. I can respect you for that. Polonia, I think the thing is he knows his reputation, and he's just putting less and less effort into his movies. Like when you are promoting your film and you're promoting it with the fact that you are using a shark puppet, like a literal hand puppet made out of plastic, and it's a shitty looking one to begin with, that tells me you don't care. You're going to put something on film, you're going to distribute it, and you're going to hope that people like trash. And when I
I
say
think
that,
I think
I say it in jest. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to pick on people, but that's what I think he is. And pretty much, I think out of all of those movies, only one wasn't from Mark, and it was like one of the worst experiences and most draining experiences I've had on YouTube. But you kept
that's
poking
right.
at me. You kept
That's right.
poking at me
Because
and poking.
it was great. Everybody appreciated your reviews. I mean, you go back and you watch your review for Ouija Shark.
Hmm.
That's how a film critic should be.
Hmm.
Really, really. That's a tailor-made case of how do you review movies? What do you do? How do you do it? Here's my friend Eric. Here's his review of Ouija Shark. Watch that. This is how you become a film critic.
Yeah. I watch it. If I like it, I say, Hobbs, I'm sure there are great wildlife films. I just haven't found them other than Baby Frankenstein. I've seen things that aren't shark movies. I don't like them, but it's just a matter of opinion. That's all it is. I'm sure I'm gonna find some good ones. I've got plenty of wildlife or movies that I know are wildlife in my Tubi queue. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet because I gotta be in the right mood for a
Is it?
schlock
Is it?
type of film.
Well, I was thinking it's sort of probably you probably have sort of like a rabies reaction, like
Mhm.
like you're sitting there and you're gonna reach toward to hit the button to watch it, and all of a
Yeah,
sudden your hands going like, oh hell no, hell,
yeah.
it's like
It's like
no,
the oven's on. The oven's on. The gas stove, and you see the ring is
right,
red. And
right, right.
should I touch it? I know what's going to happen. I know it's going to scar me. But
Uh,
then you kept poking me and telling me how much you enjoyed that week, and you're like, when's Shark Week coming out for 2024? I said it's not. I don't want to fucking do it. I don't.
I was so
And we made a deal. I said, okay, I'll do a shark theme for shitty shark movies. Shitty's in air quotes, not to piss anybody off. But you're doing it with me, Patrick. And I know that you love your bad shark movies. So I said, I'm going to pick the bad movies for you. And we decided five because, well, you decided 5 movies because 5 weeks. We're just going to do one per week. So we
yeah.
don't we,
So
we
we
don't
don't so
kill
we don't end
ourselves
up
by like Wednesday. And
right.
it ended up, regardless of what we think of the films. I mean, I'm only speaking for myself, but I think you also at least had a good time with this collaboration.
I did. I thought it was great. I thought it was a lot of fun. There were some really nice surprises.
Hmm.
Um, Super stoked to talk about one movie in particular because of the connections I saw in it. I'm just jazzed on. I am so on that. I'm so on that movie's train now. You got a convert with that one. I
Hmm.
don't know why
Good,
it took me so long to watch it, but I will be singing the praises of that one. That was an
good.
amazing movie, and the
Hmm.
connection in there. Tell me, am I wrong in saying what I said? Am I?
I never noticed it. It's been a while since I've watched it. I never noticed it on my last viewing, but the next time I'm going to go in with that mind frame and pay attention.
When you do, when you see it, you're gonna go like, "Holy shit!" Because
Hmm.
it's there, it's right there in front of it. It's like that's amazing. It's
Hmm.
amazing. But like I said before, I mean, I was like, there's two ways I could have looked at it. I could have just been like, and the thing what it was is like doing a collaboration like this. It's about fun. It's not about
Yeah.
like I picked the five worst films on the planet and go,
Hmm.
no one's gonna watch. No one's gonna make it through. No one's
Right.
gonna make it through. It's not fun.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. There's no redeeming value. There's no
Hmm.
surprise. It's just, the thing is to find a movie that can get you to sit there and say, oh hell no. But then
Yeah.
again, you go like, all right, so what's the next one gonna be like?
Yeah.
Other than I don't really don't want to do this anymore. You
Yeah,
know,
because here's the thing, yeah, sure, it's fun, kind of, you know, trolling each other. Like, I threw one a couple of you that I knew you weren't going to enjoy. You know what I mean? And but I didn't want you to like quit after week 2. You know what I mean? Because you could tell that your enthusiasm wouldn't be in your videos. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm glad you were still able to find some good in 3 out of the 5, I think. When we
I,
rank it or when we discuss them?
yeah. I mean, even the one we'll be talking about real soon. Even that one, like I felt, like I said before, I found myself. I'm sitting there going like, for one thing, I'm sort of pissed off. I'm sort of pissed off because I'm sitting there going like, I have fucking goddamn connections to these movies. This movie. I have a connection. I have connections to this movie. It sucks because
Yeah.
I've interviewed two of them. Now, what
Mhm.
are the odds of that? What are the odds of all the people doing all these movies? I got one with two people in it that I've interviewed.
And you can verify I had no idea. I don't know anybody in
I
independent
didn't
film
know either.
world. Yeah.
I didn't know either. I didn't know until I started watching it. And then I started, when I did my research for it, and then I found out, the first movie had an actress I interviewed. The second one, oh God, I can't believe they made a second one. I just cannot get over that. And the
Yeah.
second one was written by somebody who I interviewed with. And I'm
Hmm.
going like, oh, I just can't unload on this because they could be watching it.
I want to tell you right here. Our buddy Dennis, he used to be the functioning drunk. He's now Tube TV. You see him in the chat. Right there. He loved the month-long series. He was there. He was commenting on all our videos. Uh, I just want to say Dennis is one of those good YouTubers that's trying to get his YouTube channel off the ground. Give him a look, and I think you'll be plenty surprised at what he's got on his channel. So, and he and that's what we're glad that when we did get these responses, in the comments, that people were enjoying what we were doing. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
positive feedback is what, because there was times like, I'm not gonna lie, when we do our rankings, Sharks to the Corn was the worst thing I had to do this whole month. And I was seriously like unmotivated to continue. And I still had 2 films left. But getting positive feedback from Dennis, positive feedback from you, positive feedback from other people that were watching, I'm like, if you're enjoying my content and the way I describe films, it's worth it. You know what I mean? And in the end, wow, I sat down for 2 hours and watched a shitty movie. You know what I mean?
Man, people were concerned. They're like, "Oh my God, who broke Eric? Eric's
Yeah,
broken. Who did that?"
yeah.
And then I'm starting to go like, "Oh shit, oh maybe I went too far." Because last thing I need is a Tochi in my front door going, "What the hell did you do to my Eric?" I can see that happening. But I was concerned there for a second. I was definitely concerned. I was like, did I go too far? The chat is popping up here. And hi, Jonathan, how are you? Cinema Squad in the house. Russell, hello. Dennis, I want to say
Hey,
hello to
Russell.
you. And yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as we had fun doing it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
We,
it was. It was. I'm just talking out of my ass. You know what I mean? I had a lot of fun doing this, despite some of the things I had to watch. I had a lot of fun, and we'll discuss possible future installments at the end of this stream.
yeah, well, I would definitely like to see. I'd like to bring somebody. You know what? I think you and we need a tag team. Find two other collaborators and take them on. That's what I think we should do. We should tag up.
Well, I'll have you do the legwork because when they're busy chasing you down, I can sneak out the back door. So,
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, picking the movies out. I put thought into it. I
mhm,
did. I did put some thought into it. It wasn't like grabbing the first 5 Wild Eye movies and sitting there going, like, "Here, watch this." Like again, I took my time. Um, luckily for me, I should sit there and say that one of your movies that you picked for me, I had already been forewarned about because I had watched I saw it on Slasher Movie Club.
mhm,
That was one of the best episodes of Slasher Movie Club on the Night Watch Zone ever.
mhm.
Uh, I was in tears watching that. So, laughing because it was so funny. But when I saw it coming my way, I was like, "Oh man, this is not good. This is
Mhm,
not going to be good." And
mhm.
it was just as bad as I thought it was going to be. I said, "This is going to be some bullshit."
Yeah.
And it took me. I have to admit, this is that movie. That movie and another one. It took me 2 3 times to make it through.
Okay.
'Cause I was just sitting there going, "Oh man, this is just all wrong."
You want to get to the rankings and discussions, buddy?
Yeah. So
All
we're
right.
gonna do top 10. We're gonna do we're gonna leave you guys with a clean palette. So we're gonna start off with the shittiest movie first, that
Okay.
for each of us, and then talk a little bit about it. And if you guys have seen the movie, feel free to drop in your comments in the chat. If you've seen these movies that we're going to be talking about, we'd love to hear your comments on it, comments as well. And since you're the guest, I'm gonna let you go first and
Oh,
drop your worst movie of the list. 10 movies.
okay. Oh well, I didn't. Well, Are we doing all 10? Because I just picked the I just ranked my 5.
I ranked all 10. I put 10 down in the order that I thought that I as they were ranked. Uh, I put them down from 10 down to 1.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. Since I did not do that, I just ranked my 5. The way I go about my 5, you can say your thoughts on the film and then where you put it on your list as well. How about that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's start at the bottom. The worst film that I discussed for Sharks and Schlock, and one of the worst films, and I legit mean this because I'm not a bullshitter. One of the worst films I've ever discussed on my channel was Sharks of the Corn. Now, I love a good bad movie. I went into, I think the only one that I didn't go into this movie blind was Ouija Shark 2. I'd seen the trailer because I watched it way before we even thought about this collaboration. I went in completely blind to Sharks of the Corn. I was interested because it was originally called Stephen Kang's Sharks of the Corn, so they're doing even more parody with Stephen King. And I watched this, and I'm not gonna lie, I turned it off less than 10 minutes. And I know I might sound like a hypocrite when I say the acting is bad, but I also love Pumpkinhead 2 when the acting is bad. There's no effort put in by this director to try to get a good performance out of any of these people. And my fault is not with the actors, it's with the casting director and the director themselves, because actors need to start somewhere. You know what I mean? So, and that's not their fault. But the concept is bad. It's about a serial killer who's going around killing people with the jaws of a great white shark. You have the actual the bones, the jaws of the great white shark. He's killing people, and apparently he's burying them in the cornfield to sacrifice to his gods, his shark gods, and he's getting the powers from Stonehenge because why the fuck not? And in the end, by the end of it, go on my channel. You can look at the thumbnail because I have a picture of his shark gods. It looks like some of the worst Walmart children's Halloween costumes I've ever seen in my life. The director should be embarrassed for putting it in his film. And they're saved literally by like Bigfoot coming out of the cornfield and beating up the shark gods because why not? The budget, I'm not going to shit on it for a budget because again, I watch trauma films. Okay, I watched some sci-fi movies, like Sci-Fi Channel movies. But when you have the movie is like an hour and 45, 1 hour and 50 minutes.
That's the biggest crime right there. I couldn't believe it when you told me that.
And the thing is, there's so much padding to this bad movie. And there was some wittiness to it. One of the characters was named Benchley, because Peter Benchley wrote Jaws. There was another Officer Scheider, Roy Scheider, Jaws. So I'll give it somewhat credit for that. But when you're having people literally walk in the cornfield talking about hunting down this thing for a good 5 minutes and nothing happens, like literally nothing happens, and the conversation is not even endearing, engaging, or interesting, that's a crime. Cut it out. Cut it out of the film. It'll save you a good 5-10 minutes. When someone is, air quotes, attacked by a shark puppet, it's not like Mark Polonia, but it's a shark puppet, and someone falls down and they hit a rock, and it's like one of those oversized rocks, and you can see the rock bounce when they hit their head. It's like you and me, like if we were in high school and we're making a bad movie with our friends, we don't care if that type of stuff shows up or if that type of shit's noticeable. But this is an actual finished product.
Right.
This is something that a professional, someone who has skill, you see me do all these air quotes, like I'm Chris Farley, he has final say so, and he allowed this to be in the finished product.
And you know what? You just know by a movie like that. Oh, and I didn't watch it, by the way. After I saw your review, I said,
"Well, you weren't required. You weren't required to watch my films."
The only thing I can think of is like, why would you be so lazy as to do a sock puppet when all you had to do was go out there and spend $1.25 at your local Dollar Tree and get a copy of Brett. I mean, look at that. Is that not a scary ass shark? I mean, to me, it's like I see this on screen coming at me. I'm going to be riveted in fear.
Here's
I
the
mean,
here's the thing though. I will mark this on your calendar. I'll praise a Ouija shark, the original one, or Ouija shark 2. I would rather have a CGI shark because that looked, air quotes, presentable. It fit with the type of film it was. You're not going to take a movie called A Ouija Shark or Sharks of the Corn seriously. You know what I mean? It's like going into something like, Pumpkinhead 2. You have to have a certain mind frame for these. But it's like he put in no effort to try to make his product look good. And that is like aside from a film being boring, which is a lot of what this is, there's some
yeah,
unnecessary scenes. Like one of the sheriff is calling her deputy, and for some reason he's just eating popcorn while talking on the phone, and it's starting to become a gimmick, more and more. He hangs up the phone, he's still eating popcorn on screen. Why
yeah.
are we doing this?
Because I think sometimes, sometimes I think a lot of times, I think in these films, because you and I have talked to indie people, I
Hmm.
think a lot of the time, they do try to come up with the creativity, how to make this work. For
Hmm.
one thing, you definitely needed the editor because the first thing is, the worst thing about a bad movie, it's not that the movie's bad. The
Right.
worst thing about a bad movie, what makes it really bad is when it's bad and it's boring. When it's I can handle a bad movie. I can handle that. I
Hmm.
mean, Ouija Shark and Ouija Shark 2, sure, they're bad movies, but you're never bored.
I'll say this: when I'm gonna rank a Ouija Shark 2, obviously, I was never bored with that movie. It was dumb as
No.
shit, and I didn't like a lot of it, like 95% of it, but I was never bored because there's always something happening. This is a movie. Now listen, this is a movie about a serial killer. He's picking random victims. He's sacrificing them to a shark god. He's got magical powers. There's betrayal in it. There is you have the mafia after some guy, and he's caught in the middle. You have all these things that could at least make something interesting, and it's also boring as hell.
Hmm.
Nearly 2 hours of boredom and garbage is not a great mixture.
No. No. Gotta make your movie fun.
Yeah.
Gotta put some humor in it. That was one thing I was watching a couple of I was watching one of Polonium movies, and I was watching Cocaine Shark, and I'm watching the movie, and I'm at the end of it, I'm just thinking to myself, going like, okay, I knew this movie was going to be what it was. I mean, a
Mhm.
Mark Polonium movie, but there was one thing that really killed it for me, and that was there was no humor in it. There's
Right.
no humor, and it's like to me, it's like, okay, look, you don't have the money for the effects, you don't have the money for the big name cast, you don't have a lot of locations or whatever, but you still can make the movie funny. I mean, like
Mhm.
these guys here, they tried with their names and their homages and whatnot. They tried. I think the biggest thing that the Corn guy did with his movie was he made it way too long. They
Yeah.
needed to top off 30 minutes of it. And then his movie goes from being a bottom of the bucket to an enjoyable, friends, movie with friends,
And
you know.
here's the thing: if it's an independent schlocky movie that's only going to get distribution from Wild Eye, who is there's no way to deny it. Lots of times, just handing their movies away to YouTube movie reviewers, or going to be uploaded on Tubi. Look at Tubi; almost all of their bad movies are from Wild Eye. But they've got some good documentaries, but all the bad movies are from Wild Eye. So you're going to get distribution. You're going to get eyes on your product. You can get by with an hour and 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Not an hour, nearly an hour and 50.
Oh, I couldn't believe it when you told me that. I was like, that's actually, to tell you the truth, that's my number one reason why I didn't watch that movie.
Because so
Number one
long.
reason I didn't watch wasn't that you were saying how bad it was, because I can handle that.
Mhm.
What really got me was the fact that you were sitting there saying it was almost 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, I'm not watching that for 2 hours. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I
Um,
even said it in my video. I said, I turned it off within 10 minutes, but I might not have been in the mood. You know what I mean? That happens. And then the second time I tried to watch it, I said, it was an act of God. It was during like a tornado warning, so I had to turn it off so we can go seek shelter. I'm like, if that isn't a fucking sign, you know what I mean?
It's a sign from God. Russell saying, cocaine shark, cocaine bear, what's the world coming to? And then I said, cocaine cougar, because there was a
Yeah,
cocaine cougar.
yeah.
Um, as your number 10 goes, my only comment will be, I just took my lead from you. I have that down, not at the bottom though. For me, of the 10, I only had it at 8. There's two movies worse than
Ooh, really?
yes.
Wow, that said
There's
something.
there's two movies worse than Corn Shark. Um,
Okay.
and so for me, my 10 was Leprechaun's Game, the Leprechaun's Game.
That's where I went for the throat. I went for the throat on that. Go ahead,
The
Patrick.
thing
Let it
about it
out.
is, the thing about it is this: it's like you didn't know who the director was in that movie.
No.
Now Hobbs knows because Hobbs has actually directed a couple of her movies as well.
Okay.
And there's this English director. We always talk about Mark Polonium, Brett Kelly, and the worst director on the planet, and Dustin Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dustin Ferguson of the UK is this woman. Zan says she needs to see Corn Shark. You sold her on Corn Shark. That's
Hey,
awesome, Eric.
well, here's the thing. Like I say, just because I hate a movie doesn't mean you will. You know what I mean? God bless you. Go watch it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you don't
I,
waste your time.
I would love. I would. You know
You
what?
just did.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna really put her on the spot here because she has her own YouTube channel as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have I'm gonna have Zan here watch this movie and review it on her channel.
Send me her link. I would like
I
to sub
definitely
to a
will.
channel.
Oh,
Send me her link, please.
yeah, yes. Let me grab her channel and throw it out there so you guys could all sub to Zan because she's awesome. And let's see. Yes, let me do that.
Hey,
I thought that's impressive when someone says that they want to come watch one of your movies, even though you're sitting there going like, yeah, I'd rather go to the dentist with no Novocaine. You gotta respect that.
yeah.
Okay, so here is Zan's. Here's her YouTube channel. So you
Mm-hmm.
guys can go over there and sub, and then when she gets done watching Corn Shark, you guys can go over there and check out her review. Um, so mine is the Leprechaun's Game. You didn't know about Louisa Ward. Louisa Ward is like the worst director in England. She is the Mark Polonia, the Dustin Ferguson, and the Brett Kelly all rolled up one. No, she's not Brett Kelly. Brett's a little better than that. She's definitely actually Mark's a little better than that. She's the Dustin Ferguson of directors. She is the worst. Her stories make no sense ever. The effects are like they're just horrible. She doesn't know how to end. Every movie has to become a franchise when you don't want them to. No one's asking for you. Make another Scarecrow movie. Make another. No one's asking. The Leprechaun movie itself. Oh, so you got a guy wearing a $1.25 Dollar Tree mask. He's Asian. He's 5'9" or 5'10", and he's supposed to be a leprechaun. I don't know I don't even know where to start to be offended by this. Like, I'm Irish. I'm Irish,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, why are you playing an Asian guy as a leprechaun? And if that's okay, but how come he's like 5'9"? And why does he have to use like weapons, like a
Yeah.
machete?
Why is
It's
okay?
like,
Yeah. Why is he wearing why is he using a machete instead of
yeah.
like leprechauns are mystical magical beings? Even if you take out all the Warwick Davis bullshit, that's what they are. They're magical beings, fucking Lucky Charms. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And he's killing people with axes and machetes.
I mean, I think
Go
the
ahead.
only singularly one thing, the only one singular thing I could actually say is that this will make people appreciate Hornswoggle's Leprechaun all that much more because
I like it. Not
everybody
me.
hates on that one, right?
Not me. I really liked it. I really like Leprechaun Origins.
So so that's so I'm watching this movie.
Mhm.
I absolutely just like, I'm just like, oh my God, I just can't wait to unleash on this. And then all of a sudden, here comes the actress that I interviewed. I'm not going to say her name because I'm trying, protect because I'm going to try to
Yeah.
protect her. And but I had interviewed her. She's a really nice girl, and I was, what happened. There's a lot of me going, okay, she got inside of a movie. Good for her.
Yep.
It's too bad it's Lisa Warren because she's like the shit. It was like the worst.
Yeah.
So okay. So I can't pull my punch on this, but this movie was god awful. I could not wait for it to end. I was begging it to end. Uh, I, I mean, I was just letting them go on. Like, man, okay, so you made your point with Ouija Shark, but at least Ouija Shark, at least the shark was cute. There's nothing cute about Leprechaun's game.
Yeah,
It is
that's the
the
one
most
thing.
laziest made movie ever.
Again, it's like the no effort. There was no effort trying to make this look like a leprechaun.
No.
Facially, it didn't. They gave it red hair and the little hat and dressed him in green. That's it.
How about the fact where they go to find the gold, and they're sitting in the woods, and they're talking about what they need to do, and like 10 seconds later they find gold. It's
Yeah.
like, but you didn't even bother. Oh, just
There's so much padding in that movie. Remember, there's that one scene where the one character is walking from the house out to the tool shed because he thinks the leprechaun is out there. That's a good 5 minutes of him literally just walking from point A to point B. He's
it's a
by
Dustin
himself.
Hoffman.
He's not talking to anybody. Why is that in the film?
That's a
Show it
Dustin
for
Hoffman technique, and he
yeah.
does that shit all the time in his movies.
Show
And
it
his
for
movies
5 seconds, maybe
yeah.
10 seconds, so you can get the point that he's going to the tool shed. You don't have to show the entire fucking journey. You know what I
No,
mean?
is he going to stop for a snack? I mean, is he,
It's not even like the hobbits when they went to Mount Doom. Peter Jackson was smart enough to cut other things in between. You know what I mean?
Right, right. I mean, I think I could have watched the Twin Towers by the time this guy started leaving the house to the garage. I could have watched one of the Lord of the Rings movies. That's how long
Yeah,
it took.
yeah.
The makeup was just god awful. No effort at all. But that's a trademark.
Okay.
Lisa Warren has done Scarecrow movies, and the same thing. It's just like horrible, and the stories, and then what really is bad about it, Corey Feldman, triggered, Corey Feldman.
Ugh, ugh.
uh, uh, Corey Feldman would actually make a good leprechaun.
He looks like a leprechaun. You could have
He
saved
does.
money because Corey works fucking cheap. You wouldn't have to apply makeup because he already looks like a goblin. So there you go.
Did you say Corey looked like a boglin?
No,
Oh,
he looks like a goblin. You ever see the movie Legend? With
yes.
Tom Cruise. That muck monster that comes out of the water and scares Tom Cruise. Seriously, if
Oh,
they remade that, you just throw Corey Feldman in a bog, throw some muck on him. You don't even need any prosthetics.
that's
But
funny.
I
That's
digress.
like, yes, way digress. But it's just, and the other thing that Louisa Warren likes to do too is not only is she not already struggling as a director, but
Hmm.
she likes to make herself the lead actress in all her movies, and she's a horrible actress. She's horrible.
She
It's like,
she was in the Leprechaun's game.
yes, she was the lead actress.
Oh Jesus.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So, and she does that in all her films. She puts herself in there and all. It's like, honey, you may have the body of Alfred Hitchcock, but you certainly don't have his acting chops.
And Alfred Hitchcock never did anything. He's just walking his dog or mailing an envelope or
Right,
something like that.
right.
Jeez.
So Leprechaun,
Even Kevin Smith was smart enough to make him the silent character because he can't act. You know what I mean?
right, right. So I put Leprechaun's game as the bottom of the bottom, the bottom of the bottom.
Mhm. Okay.
What was your
Uh,
number four movie that
Number four, and I'm pulling. Like I said, I'm deciding this out of the blue. Ah, I gotta go. Sorry, Patrick. I gotta go Ouija Shark 2. And here's why. Like I said, I can appreciate the effort. You know what I mean? They tried to do something serious, and I said it in the review that I did that this director he knew, okay, let's just go balls out. You know what I mean? It's a dumb concept. Let's try to make it fun. And his heart was in the right place, but I just don't think the execution was great. And the main reason why I can handle a bad movie if it's entertaining, and there were some entertaining parts. The problem is everyone was so wooden in their acting. And again, that's the problem with the director. If you're not a good director, you can't really get a good performance. And I already hated the guy from the first movie, the guy who, the Doctor Strange, I guess you would say, of the group. You know what I mean? For less of a better term. And the problem was with his wooden acting, it just went downhill. The girl who played the fortune teller, bless her heart, she's not a good actress, but she tried. You know, that's the thing. And then we got to the woman who played his wife, and she is probably one of the most wooden actresses that I've seen in a long time. There is a scene where Ouija sharks flying in the air, and they're all the three, you know, Doctor Strange, you know, for lack of a better term, fortune teller, and the wife. That's what I'll
No.
call them. They're throwing fireballs.
Weren't they called Terror Force?
They were, yeah, Tarot Force. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Um, but they're throwing fireballs at this shark, and Doctor Strange, he's doing his little mystical thing, and he's like, wow. The fortune teller chick, as bad as she is, like vocally, her physical acting is really good because when she's conjuring up that fireball, she heaves that fucker. The woman who plays his wife is so wooden, like she's literally reading off cue cards. It looks like when she's talking to her fellow actors.
That's funny. I
And
remember seeing.
then
I remember seeing
when,
someone reading off lyrics off like on a stand.
yeah, and then when she has to throw her fireball, I told you, Doctor Strange, fortune teller, she heaves it. This chick, she just literally she does this, and the fireball appears, and then she just goes, eh. Like that's it. You can't even put any effort. Like it's
Well,
volleyball. I guarantee you, she's played volleyball. You throw the volleyball up in the air. You know what I
but
mean? Put some
I,
effort into it.
I have to say this in her defense, though. But think about it. If you were like 19 years old, like the the tarot card girl was, you
Mm-hmm.
would be enthused and fire. But
Yeah.
then when your husband asks you, because she was married to the director, if when you ask her this, when your husband's sitting there saying, "I want you to be in my movie," and you're like in your mid 40s, and your husband's telling you, "Okay, now shoot an invisible fireball." I mean, I'm thinking to myself, to her, I'm putting myself in her shoes and going like, how many people are going to see this? How am I going to
Then
face
then
friends?
she should have. You know what? It's not going to end a marriage saying, "Honey, no."
I mean, I just, she loves her husband. That's what I got from it.
And that,
She
well, if she
really
loves her
loves.
husband, she should have put in a little bit more fucking effort to throw that fireball. Okay? And he could have said, honey, just try harder. And she could have just gone like that instead of,
A little.
you know what I mean? And it's
I,
not just her. The guy who played the demon, when he's falling into hell, he's literally falling into hell and he's just shaking his hands like that. Put in some effort. You're falling down, this black chasm or this black hole. This
I,
didn't show me that you're scared. You're worried that you're going to die.
so you didn't get that, you weren't impressed by him going back down to the ninth circle of hell.
No, because I was right there with him when I was watching this movie. When you have God bless it, we have some women in bikinis because shark movie. When they're being chased down the corridors of hell by this Ouija shark, and I said in my video, and they're running, air quotes, but they're running like this. You're jogging in place,
Right.
okay? You could not. I get it. The budget's $2.25, and you spent all that on the shark puppet. You couldn't somehow rent a treadmill, crank that thing up, and then put a camera in front of these girls and then have them run as fast as they can? Instead, no, run, and then you're
I
being
think I can
chased
help.
by a flying ghost shark, okay? You're gonna run a little bit more than
I think I can help you. Me and Brett, we can help you.
Okay.
So because Ouija Shark has a got this Ouija Shark has a very interesting story.
Okay.
Okay. So Brett Kelly made Ouija Shark. He says he's known as the man who does shark movies. Everybody when he's done westerns,
Mm-hmm.
not good ones, terrible ones, but he's done westerns before. But he says all he gets is a lot of people calling him about he's the shark guy.
Okay.
So he made Ouija Shark for $212, and that is actually the money he spent. He spent $212 Canadian making a Ouija Shark. It became a cult favorite.
God bless him.
And not only that, but Wild Eye, Rob took the movie and went to Japan with it. He
Mm-hmm.
took Ouija Shark and he went to Japan with it. Ouija Shark got a theater opening. It got played in theaters. Now that's staggered. That should blow your mind right
That's
there.
great. That's great. I don't
Um,
get it, but that's
I don't
great.
know if I don't know if it's great, but I mean,
Well,
but he
for
managed to.
him for him as a filmmaker, that's great.
Well,
Having a movie in theaters.
they did really really well, and oh yeah, I hate the worst of all when actors don't act terrified.
Yeah.
Believe me, when we were watching our movies for this month, you would have been very impressed by both of our faces
We
because
were more terrified than the
we were
actors
very
and
terrified.
actresses.
So Ouija Shark actually became a hit in Japan.
Okay.
So of course Rob goes ahead, and this comes from Brett Kelly. This is not from me. This is from Brett Kelly made a video.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Rob went to John Migliore without telling Brett Kelly.
Who's John?
The director of the second one.
Okay.
And John and Brett are they're both Canadian directors, and they're best friends in real life. They're best friends.
Okay.
Rob went to John and said, "I want you to do the second movie," but they cut Brett out of it. He had
Mm-hmm.
no part of it. Brett Kelly made a video talking about it, saying how it was his idea, and he made the movie, and he got axed out of it, because the movie did really well. And I think what they did, or the reason why I think this movie struggled a little bit, is because I think that they try to do a fast job. As far as filming it and getting it out,
Mm-hmm.
because they did a lot of green screen in this movie, which is terrible, but it's ultra cheap.
Well, here's
At
the
least,
thing, though.
at least with Brett Kelly, at least he used practical he used practical locations.
I'll give him credit for that because you knew where they were, like in the first film. The problem again with this second film is I'm okay. Some of the green screen was kind of shitty. It is
Yeah,
what it is. I knew what I was getting into. Okay, but why the fuck did this? And I apologize to some of the people in the chat that I don't know. I swear, like a truck driver, Patrick should have warned you. But why in the world do we have all this chaos going in the city? We have buildings falling down. We have fireballs going across the sky. A bad plushy alligator fighting a bad plushy shark. But all that green screen, all the special effects. But when you show people running in peril, like the newscaster and the one guy who's running in peril stops, says, "Hi, Mom. I gotta go to the grocery store. I'll be right back." Those type of bad jokes. The background is black. There's
yeah,
no background behind them. We have close-ups of legs running around in chaos. Black background. Why couldn't you throw in a fake street or a
yeah.
fake, building, backdrop or something like that?
I think it was time. I don't think it was the budget. God, I never thought I'd ever see her say that. I don't think it was the budget. I think it was the time. I think they were trying to turn it around as fast as they could to take advantage of it. And I think that's the reason why, because I mean, John Migliore, I've seen his work before.
Okay.
He's actually not a bad B-level director.
Okay.
He really isn't. When I watched it, I gotta admit, because I had hyped him up to you, going like,
Right.
this is what's gonna save this movie, is because they got John Migliore doing it, and he's actually competent. He
Mm-hmm.
knows how to make a movie. And then when I watched it, the only thing I could think of was they just said, make it as fast as you humanly can, because they want to
Mhm.
get back over to Japan to make more money. And I think that's
Yeah.
what happened.
And just the attempts at humor were fell flat. And again, humor is subjective. Comedy is subjective. It's easy to make a horror movie. It's hard to make a comedy because some people like fart jokes. Some people like funny dialogue. It's all different. You know what I mean? Gross out humor. There were so many attempts at comedy. To me, it just fell flat. The one guy who's eating his popcorn, looking out the window. Oh, that was my ex-wife's house. Oh, I think it just ate my ex-wife. And he's not trying to be sarcastic. He's just standing there saying that. And
Right.
then after Doctor Strange gets the Ouija board. He puts everything back to how it was. He built the buildings back up, and then you got the guy eating the popcorn saying, "Damn," because they fixed his ex-wife house. You didn't need that. You tried to make a funny joke, and it just fell flat. Like you have all those cuts to the wannabe, like when they're not watching the news, there's this Sven type, like they're promoting this Sven type of monster show that's on TV. We never see it. Why are you promoting it? What's the point of that being in the film? So I think they tried so much, and it's just the execution just didn't work.
I will say this, and people might laugh at me, but again, I will sit there. I will actually defend Miglior because
Sure.
I definitely think that if they get another one, which I think they probably will, and they
I
give
thought
him
the
and they
way
give
they,
him the time,
yeah.
I think they give him the time to make his movie the way he wants to make it.
Hmm.
Ouija Shark 3 is going to be it's going to be a cult movie. It's going to be like the first one. It's going to be a cult favorite. People,
Yeah.
like, and really, what's so bad about that? That's one good thing about a lot of these films that we talk about here is that, yes, they're horrible and they're terrible. And good Lord, I mean, some of them are not going to make big cult films. They're not.
Right.
Anything with Lisa Warren in it is not going to be a cult film. It's
Hmm.
not. Don't ever, no, that's never going to happen.
Hmm.
But Ouija Shark, I, I I mean, I was shocked as anything when I saw how well it did in Japan. I was like,
It's if
"Mm,
something There's something with the aspect of like Troll 2 can be a cult film and
mhm,
have a following, and people can have fun with that movie.
yes,
I can honestly see, just because I didn't like them, I can honestly see how a Ouija Shark and a Ouija Shark 2 and a Ouija Shark Part 56 that we're going to eventually get, how that could have a following. Because if people can have fun with these films, that's great. I'm just not one of them. You know what I mean? And that's
it
not for me, like I said, to rain on your guys' parade. If you love this film, God bless you.
to me to
That's
me,
great.
this is one of those things where it's like, Leprechaun, just
No,
no, hell
no,
no.
she should be embarrassed that that's her finished product.
I would be, but you know what? She doesn't care. She's already doing another fundraiser for the next
If
one,
you
and it'll
don't,
be
well, see, that's the thing. I think we will move on to your next choice, but that's the thing. If you don't care, then why are you doing it?
right, right.
Like, if you want to be
My
a writer, you want to write the best book you can. If you're a filmmaker, you want to make the best film you can.
Sure, sure.
Why
Even
why
with
half-ass it? I've said it as a YouTuber. If you are not putting in your, like, if you're tired that day, don't make the video, because people
no,
aren't, if you're not interested or into the product you're making, whether you're talking films or baking a cake or whatever you're doing, if your interest isn't in it that day, you're going to lose an audience, because if you're not interested, then why should people that's, engaging in your product be interested?
I agree with that totally. My next movie, the movie I hated the worst.
I
Um,
think I'm going to take a guess. Go ahead. I think I know.
don't go in the fucking woods alone. Oh
Yes.
man, you know what? The only good thing this would have been my reaction would have been a lot worse if I hadn't had a warning because
Mhm.
our good friends night over at Night Watch Zone and Coriander, they had a series called Slasher Movie Club, and they were going through all these slasher movies from everywhere. And people weren't going over their slasher movie club to see which good movies there were. They always went, I know I did, we always went to see the bad ones because that was the best, those were the best episodes.
Mhm.
I would tell Knight, I said, see if you can get to 45 minutes every show. That was the goal, was to try to make it to 45 minutes without Coriander just blowing it up. Like,
Mhm.
like And a lot of times they didn't make it to 45 minutes. A lot of times it'd be like, this movie was so bad. Oh, and she would just go off on it.
Yeah.
And it was always the funniest. Those are always the classic
Oh
ones. The
yeah.
ones I laugh at the most. And so I had seen the episode where they talked about this movie, and Corey Ander's like, "Oh, this is some bullshit."
Hmm.
Classic.
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off. We all did. So when I saw that coming my way, I'm thinking, okay, well, I have an idea. I know how bad this movie is because I
Hmm.
saw the movie club. I just didn't know how really bad it was until I had to watch it,
Now,
and
see
then I
that
knew.
the thing is, yeah, the thing is, I sent it your way because I watched part of their slasher movie clubs. I did my own Two Bearded Losers episode on it. It's on my channel. And we picked it apart in a fun way. But knowing you, how you can appreciate a bad film, I thought maybe you could find some good in it. The only thing that I knew for that I did to like I said, to hit you below the belt was Leprechaun's Game. Everything else, I kind of thought you could find some good in it. So I was actually surprised at how much you truly hated Don't Go Into the
Hated this
Woods.
movie. Hated this movie. The only good thing about this movie was when the final credits started rolling. That was it. When that happened, I was like, "Oh, finally, it's getting good." Now it's
Mhm.
getting for the last minute and a half. It's like, "Oh yeah, the credits are here." Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys scrolled down really nicely, and I liked how you put all your cast members. That was about it because this
Mhm.
movie was some bullshit. I mean, there is nothing to this movie but stupidity, stupidity, and even more stupidity. And I was just stunned. I mean, I just thought when Corey Anderson said that, I was like laughing because I remember laughing and when that's only because she didn't like it, but I really appreciated her point of view when I'm sitting there watching it and I'm going like, oh, this is just some bullshit. This is just
Mhm.
awful. And
Mhm.
why would he send this to me? I mean, this is worse than Wheezy Shark. At least I sent him Wheezy Shark. I didn't send him this shit. Um,
Mhm.
but it was god awful. This is
Yeah.
I guess this is considered a classic 80s slasher. And this is
Bro,
another thing I'm
this
gonna
movie
bring up. This is
this is
another thing
this
I'm gonna bring up.
this is on like high def Blu-ray and people go out to buy it.
Yes.
Again,
Pay
God bless
$60
you.
to Seven.
It's your money. I am not. I've spent more on worse. Trust me, but this has a wide distribution. From was it is it Vinegar Syndrome or someone like that?
Kino Lorber, Severin,
Yeah.
101, Code Red. Every single time a boutique label comes out there and releases it. I'm surprised this thing isn't on Criterion yet, but give it time.
Ooh.
Give it time. They're
Yeah.
probably making the liner notes even as we're speaking.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. People will go out there, and I see them. Some of their I see them do that. They'll go out there and spend $60, and people with the love affair of the '80s horror. Stop. Full stop. The '80s are not all that when it comes down to horror movies. There are a bunch of horrible '80s films. They're terrible. They're terrible. But everybody's sitting there going like, "Oh, the '80s were the best." No, no, they weren't.
Yeah.
No,
Pick
never.
it apart. Yeah.
Yeah, never. The '90s were better. Uh, definitely, definitely things past 2000 are better. The '80s are not the end all.
I
Neither
think
are
what
the
it
'70s.
I think what it is a lot with the 80s is because it was the boom of the slasher era. But the thing is, I think because how do I word this right? Because people love the big three so much. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. I think because they love them so much, that love from those franchises are kind of seeping over to the lesser known ones like Madman or Don't Go Into the Woods Alone. And maybe they love them by association and not realize it.
You know what? I It's like there's. I mean, even those series, they have plenty of cat poo in those series.
Yeah.
There's not a single series that doesn't have. I mean, Halloween for me. I mean, the second and the third one are my Halloween. It's the
Okay.
first one. I could use that to fall asleep on. But the second one, I love the second one, and I love Season of the Witch.
I do too.
Friday, the Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the first one. I like Freddy's New Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, unwatchable. Everyone else, it's overrated. It's
Mm-hmm.
overrated. Uh, 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 the only one we can say is awesome without peer is Friday the 13th. That's that. Those are my boys right there. I'll ride and die with them.
Mm-hmm.
But but uh, uh but but they're not all that. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, a lot of these and these are just some franchises. Take the individual films like this one.
Mm-hmm.
All it does is just it makes you just look at it and go like, what were they thinking? Thinking this is like a cult film, a classic film. This movie is bullshit. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, think about what the people are doing today. I mean, even story wise, yeah, but the '80s were the best. I grew up in the '80s, and let me tell you, man, it ain't all that. It ain't all that. Now '70s, on the other hand, I love the '70s. The
Okay.
'70s, the '70s. You want to go back and watch some really classic horror films and really be shook. The '70s were far superior, far superior. But the
Okay.
'80s, oh no, I overrated. See, Zan saying, speaking of Nightmare on Elm Street, I was in line for the Pinocchio ride at Disneyland, and Robert England was in front of me. I thought it was hilarious considering that he was Freddy Krueger. Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
cool. That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's not like this thing. Like I'm not harshing on it. I'm
Right.
not harshing on it, but I'm just sitting there going like, I think people build those movies way higher. Like
Mm-hmm.
and they're still doing it now. You see the people doing the A24 thing. They're hyping it up to beyond belief, and then like X. Oh my God,
I didn't like X. I didn't like X.
everybody, me, and we everybody we know, we watched that here on the tube, and everybody's sitting there. X. Oh my God, X is the shit. It's like X is a good movie. But it's no different from any other
I
thing that
wouldn't even say it was good. I thought it was boring. I thought
yeah,
X was
but the
incredibly boring.
hour and a half, the first hour was definitely boring.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And then you got the best one, the Pearl. Pearl was the best one.
Okay.
And then, and
I
then,
haven't watched it yet, but I'll check it out.
and then they got Maxine, and all of a sudden it's like, and it just got overpowered by the expectations, and it sank like a rock. It was just like none of them, it's like, but everybody before that, though, you talked to them about it and they were sitting there, oh, yeah, I can't wait for that. It's going to be the movie of the summer for me. And then it's like, not that good. You
Yeah.
overhype things so bad.
That's the thing. That was probably one of the like in the circles I'm in on online. That was one of the most hyped up films for God knows how long, since probably since X, and then Pearl hyped up Maxine even more. If it was so great, why was it pulled from theaters after like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
No one went to
No,
go see it.
even Kevin Costner outdrew it.
Yeah, and they pulled his movie.
That's when you know you're in trouble, when Kevin
Mm-hmm.
Costner's movie is out earning you. Um, but yeah, don't go in the woods alone. Don't ever watch this movie alone or with friends. So what do you got for number 8? And we'll try to pick it up a little bit.
All right, my next one. Okay, my next one, Shark Huntress, and here's why. It's not a shark movie. The plot of this fucking movie: a woman is killed. She's eaten by a shark. Her daughter seeks revenge because she can tell one shark from another. There
Oh,
is no shark. There is no huntress in a movie called Shark Huntress. There is one scene where she looks at the shark. She either, I don't know if it's a bullet or she shoots a harpoon at it at night and she misses. The entire film is a group of people trying to take on the plastic industry and how bad plastic is for the environment. They say how this woman, the victim in the very beginning of the movie, how she was killed on purpose to fed to this shark. They released the shark where she was swimming because she was going to blow the lid off of this fucking conspiracy about how bad plastic is for the environment. I get having a message Movies can have messages. Be like the first Candyman movie. Their
Right.
message about racial differences and like how the police will, again, I'm trying to be nice when I say this, how police might treat a Caucasian woman better than a woman of color. You know what I mean? It's true. It does happen. Okay. That
Yeah.
notwithstanding, the way Candyman handled it was subtle, but they got their point across. Candyman, the new one that came out from Nia Costa, beats you over the head with a piece of wood with it. We get it. Cops are bad. This one, this Shark Huntress, was so anti-plastic, pro-environment. There are scenes where literally a man is walking down the beach, picking up plastic, throwing it in a trash bag. One of the characters literally walks down, "Hey man, what you doing?" "I'm throwing away plastic to save the environment." That's a great idea. See you later. That's a scene in the movie. You know what I mean? It's stuff like that where you're trying to get your message across, but it's also done so poorly. Why would anyone care?
Heavy-handed.
And it's such false advertisement. You know what I mean? You sent it to me because it was literally a woman in a bikini fighting this giant megalodon type of thing. The poster.
Yeah. Well, I
There's
see.
30 there's 30 seconds of shark and maybe 15 seconds of a huntress in
Well,
this entire film. It's an hour and 20 minutes. So it was a lot better than Sharks of the Corn in that aspect, but it was all just plastic is bad, save the environment, let's kill a shark. And by the end of it, when the villain was revealed, I don't even remember how he died because I wasn't paying attention because I didn't care.
well, I mean, I thought the first rule of any every good shark movie, they always show a shark babe.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to movie a shark movie, you put some shark babes on there. Like, hell yeah, look at that. I'm watching that because guys, they like
Yeah,
sharks and they like babes, so you put a
yeah,
shark
it's a
babe.
selling point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I saw that movie, I was like, this is like, it's probably not that good, but it has a really cute babe on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll send that one to him. It wasn't until after I heard you that you were talking about it, going, "Oh, this is a referring term. This is some bullshit, Patrick." That's when I went to IMDb and realized what I had done, and then I went from like, "Oh, well, that's awesome."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, I picked out the right movie for him."
Yeah, you did. And that was week number 2. So I'm like, oh,
Oh, painful, painful. I felt bad for you once I started reading the reviews, but again, I mean, I went with Shark Babes, because it's like
mm-hmm.
that can't go wrong. Little did I know.
Yeah, yeah,
I yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not really, but it
yeah.
did
You're
have a
not
shark
sorry.
babe.
Don't
But you
lie.
but you did but you did put a picture of the Shark Babe on there. She was cute.
I did. Yeah, she was a very pretty woman. I don't know. You couldn't understand what she was saying because I don't know if she is an American or not, and I'm not dragging on her for that. But
Right.
her accent, whether it was real or just for the movie, was so thick. It's a European accent that it's hard to understand what she's saying.
Hmm.
So,
My 8. I actually picked the movie you hated the worst, and that was Sharks of the Corn.
mhm.
Just seeing your reaction to it, and I didn't watch it because when she said it was almost 2 hours long, I did not watch it. I didn't have to. That's why I have you for.
Oh,
But
thanks.
reading your reaction to it, I'm going like, yeah, he's sparing me right here. This sounds like really really bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh.
so I decided to take your word on it and how bad it was. But I still think my first two are worse than that. Uh,
Mhm.
so I thought that was my number. That was my number 8. Number
Mhm.
8. All right. So what's next on your list?
All right, I only got 2 left. Next, the reason why I put it at number 2 was because I could have some fun with it, and there was some fun to be had. Was a Blue Demon. Blue
Yeah.
Demon was basically kind of a ripoff of Deep Blue Sea a little bit. They're implanting things on sharks to make them smarter, so they can do what they need to do. Keep invaders from getting into the border, terrorism and stuff like that. And I was excited because I saw the cast list had Jeff Fahey, and you know how much I love Jeff Fahey.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
me
there
too. Me
was there
too.
was some fun in this. There's a dwarf actor. He was, I guess he's in. He looked familiar to me. I know it said he was in 5 episodes of Seinfeld. He is one of the dwarves in Jingle All the Way. I think he's the one that's selling the generic Turbo Man dolls with Jim Belushi that Arnold has to get. He every time that man is on screen, I was laughing. He's so self-depreciating, and not just because of his height, just because everyone just treats him bad. But the way he handles it is in such a fun and comical way. Um, this movie was very self-aware. It had a good chase scene, with two cars chasing each other. Uh there was a fun credits montage. Like I call them 90s TV montages, title montages. Like the end of Predator, it says Bill Duke played Blaine and shows Bill Duke, drinking from his flask. Scream ends with, the characters and their names. They named every single person in this movie. They even named the Sharks. And they had some stupid ass song that sounded like it was pulled right from a 90s sitcom. I was laughing my ass off. The
So
problem is,
was it a comedy?
I don't know, because it seems like they try to mix the comedy with the sci-fi. The implanting of the sharks. This shark is now, Jeff Fahey is taking control. He's going to use this shark to plant a bomb somewhere and stuff like that. They tried to make it a little serious, but they couldn't mix it properly. You know what I mean? And Jeff Fahey, I think I'm going to blame the director, because Jeff Fahey's a great actor. He can be in a bad movie and make it good. Like, I don't like Psycho 3, but I love Jeff Fahey in Psycho 3. You know what I mean?
I bet he's one of my favorites too.
And I was just disappointed because I don't think we got a good performance out of him, or we could have maybe gotten a better performance. Even if he was self-aware of the material, I think we could have gotten a better performance on him. He was just, the military heavy with the cigar, and that's about it.
It's funny is like when I picked this movie out, I didn't tend to pick this one out for you. There was another one that I wanted to, because see, I had already picked out the couple of movies I knew that I knew Ouija Shark and Corn Shark were going to be god awful, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to pick some entertainment too. And so one of the
Mm-hmm.
movies I picked was one I wanted to watch, and it was on Tubi. And
Mm-hmm.
so I went ahead and I went to look for it, and and it was called Black Demon, the Black Demon. And
Okay.
I picked it out because I had Josh Lucas in it, and I'm like, I wanted to see that anyway, so I'm going to pick that one out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when I picked up Jay Fahey, I was like, I want to pick out a couple of good movies that you're going to really like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't have Black Demon, so I'm like, okay, what do they got? It had Blue Demon, so I looked at that, and then so I saw Jeff Fahey, and I knew you liked Jeff Fahey, and I like Jeff Fahey.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have one of my IFC Midnight CD called Beneath, with
Okay.
Jeff Fahey in the leading role. So he's solid. Everything he does is solid. So I picked that one out, and I'm going like, okay, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a surprisingly a good one. And that's really how you end up getting it. You actually got that by complete accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta admit, I was disappointed. I wasn't one of those things where it's like I was like Wheezy Shark 2 or Corn, where I was like, like, yeah, this is, I'm played up for yucks. Like, yeah, this
Right.
gonna. I actually I was disappointed to hear that it wasn't that good. I was
It,
like,
it it had a lot of potential. It really did. And like I said, there were some fun moments in it. There really was. But it's just, I don't think the director or the writers knew what they wanted. And
yeah.
it just, again, like, it didn't mesh well. The overall product just kind of, this is great, this is great. Okay, boring, 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 boring. Failure, failure. Funny, funny, boring, boring. You know what I mean? Type of thing.
Sort of like the Piranha movies. Those Piranha movies came out, and they were gory. I mean, they're gory movies. A lot of bloodshed, a lot of dead people, but there's a lot of humor in it too.
Yes. It was,
There's
yeah,
a
I
lot.
think it was trying to be kind of a spoof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it just, they didn't know what they wanted tone wise. Is it a horror comedy with a shark, or are you trying to say something, trying to keep terrorism out of the United States, but using the sharks to do it? There's backstabbing and this and that, but it just, like I said, the tone was just all over the world, all over the wall. There was no.
Maybe they should have teamed up with the other movie and kept more plastic out of the ocean.
Jesus.
All right. For me, my number 7, and that's again, it's all about potential.
Hmm.
My number 7 was Creep Show 3. I I didn't even know there was a Creep Show 3.
Right.
I, when he told me that, when he said, "Yeah, you're gonna watch Creep Show 3," and I'm going like, "There's no Creep Show 3. It's a mistake. There's only 2 of them. They only made 2." And then when I saw that they had made Creep Show 3, and I'm going like, I've never heard of this movie from nowhere, from no one, no how. How
Hmm.
could that be? It's a Stephen King, right? Stephen King, Creep Show, and I mean, how could that not slide underneath the radar from everybody? I mean,
Yeah.
there's a, I don't know about you, but I keep my eye on what people review. There's a lot of people who are basically just, like the newest thing, they're all over it.
Hmm.
There's very few that actually do like Hobbs does, and I've been talking him up about this, and you and to some respects Mike as well. You guys aren't afraid to go back in the back get into the Wayback Machine and go back there and review older films.
Right.
I have so much more respect for someone who has who does that, that goes back there and reviews movies from the 60s or the 50s, not just what's new came new what's new at the theater. And they do that because it's the most popular and it's the biggest ratings and most views. You want to get views on your channel, you can talk about Scream or Halloween or all the latest newest. That's one way to do it. But to me, if you really are a film lover, if you're a cinephile like you and I are, you're not afraid to go back there and review or talk about a film like this that nobody else does. Because every movie deserves a little bit of sunshine. So when you told me about Creepshow 3, I was like intrigued. I was like, okay, I never heard of it. So let me go read up about it. And then when I was reading about it, like there was nobody in the movie I knew but one person, and she was in
Hmm.
there for 20 seconds. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Um,
Hmm.
it was horrible. It's a horrible movie. It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But it's like what you said though. It had potential.
Yeah.
I mean, the funniest one was where where there's 2 college students and they go to their professor's house for
Yes.
dinner, and he's always playing pranks on them. So they think that we're gonna prank him by taking apart his robot wife, that he misgotten from overseas. And it
Hmm.
turns out that the robot wife doesn't have electronics in it.
Yeah. The real person. Yeah.
Now that was humorous. That was
Yeah.
actually, I could actually see Stephen King writing something like that.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Totally see
Yeah.
that.
That would be the twist. Yeah.
But the thing, I think what killed this movie more than anything else was not only the pacing, but I think the actors, while they did try hard. I think they were just in a really bad movie,
Hmm.
and they didn't have enough skills to get out of it.
Right.
They couldn't elevate it at all. Jeff Fahey. Okay, so maybe Blue Demon was not that good, but think about how much worse it would have been without Fahey in it.
Mhm. Did you
Yeah,
know that Creep Show 3 is kind of like Don't Go Into the Woods Alone, that it now has a wide Blu-ray distribution from Scream Factory, no less. Scream Factory has a special edition of Creep Show 3.
that's all. That's exploitation. They're
How
exploiting.
does this is what how does something like Sharkula or Creep Show 3 get a wide distribution, but we can't get that Toxic Avenger movie out?
Yeah, I agree. you know what? It's like I agree. It's boutiques. That's a whole different show. I truly don't understand it. I don't understand. I don't. I mean, I was sitting here watching. I think Vinegar Syndrome came out, and one of the movies they were pushing for that release that week was Navy SEALs from the '90s with
Oh,
Michael
Charlie
Biehn.
Sheen. Yeah, Charlie
Right.
Sheen, right? Yeah.
I saw that movie at the theater. I loved it. It was a fun action movie. It's fun action. In fact, and then I saw that it was coming out on one of the boutiques. I love Roadhouse. Roadhouse is the shit. Um, and but they're charging $60 to buy a copy of Roadhouse.
Oh, hell no.
$60. You could go down to the Dollar Tree and pick it up for $1.25.
Yeah.
And then Navy SEALs, and they're charging like $55 for it or $50 for it. I'm going like, okay, so it came out in Blu-ray. I picked up a DVD copy of that week for a damn quarter.
Mm-hmm.
For a quarter.
Yeah.
I'm just like, people. I mean, I think some of these boutiques, I think they just exploit. They
Yeah,
exploit.
they know people will double and triple dip.
And it's just like, and the prices they charge, it's absolutely insane. I
Yeah.
don't get it. People come with their this is my Severn here's my Severn hall, and I'm going there, and I tell you, Eric, I'm not even kidding you. They'll pull out some of their sales. That's my budget for 2 years. Two
I'm in
years.
some of those
I don't know how.
Facebook groups, and I see their receipts at the end. They've spent 350, $400. I don't I made a decision a long time ago. I will never order from anywhere, whether it's Scream Factory or Criterion or anybody, unless they have a sale going on. And it's usually Criterion. I don't mind because lots of times they do a 50% off sale.
Right.
That's I have no problem doing that. Or sometimes, say it's John Carpenter's birthday or Roger Corman's birthday, Scream Factory do a 50% off sale. Absolutely. But other than that, it's not worth it, dude. It's not worth it for 2 bonus interviews. Who cares?
2 bonus interviews, and the thing is, though, is the one thing that the movie was good. Okay,
Yeah.
so Navy SEALs is good, Roadhouse is good, but the thing that it is, though, they have been released so much already
Yeah.
that the fact that you're sitting there trying to squeeze $60 out of people for it, where it's just,
Yeah.
I don't. You know what though? What they say, there's a sucker born every minute.
Mhm.
I'm sure they all sit there and say, well, yeah, the only reason why we did it is because people will buy it. I get that, but
Yeah.
to me, at the same time, it's like, okay, if they'll buy it at 60, they'll buy it as 40.
They'll buy
They'll
it
be
at
more
30.
likely. They'll
They'll
buy
buy
it
it.
at 30. You know, lower the price down a little bit.
Yeah.
But as far as Creepshow 3, why would anybody pay more than a quarter for this movie is beyond me.
Mhm.
The movie's worth about, it's worth about 50 cents. If I saw it at my library, well, now that I've already seen it, so I wouldn't. But I mean, if I hadn't, I
Yeah.
would have paid a quarter for it. I would, but yeah. Uh, yeah, and Ninja saying, Jason saying you could probably find the interviews on YouTube anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and there's. I know some people do that with Tubi, right? They use Tubi as a sounding board. They'll go over there and they'll hear about a movie and they'll go over to Tubi and they'll watch it Tubi. If they like it on Tubi, then they'll go buy a copy of it.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a bad idea. That's actually
No.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And I totally dig on that. And I encourage people to do that. But man, I mean, when I see people pull out a Creepshow 3 and yeah, I got this from the boutique. I just go look at them and go like, I just can't take you serious. I
Mhm.
can't take you serious.
Mhm.
Uh, how the hell can you sit there and justify spending $60 on such a mediocre movie?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, there's nobody in the movie other than one person for 20 seconds.
Mhm.
Eileen Dietz from The Exorcist and Night of the Caregiver. Shout out to Eileen. But that's it. That's all there was to it. That's it. That's the only redeeming factor it had was Eileen Dietz in for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But people spend
Eh,
like,
But again, it's their money. They can do what they want. It's just I don't get it.
I
But then
don't either.
again, some of the shit you'll see in my collection, you know. But then again, I waited for a discount. I love Stone Cold. I I have that on special edition Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, but I didn't get it until there was a sale. You know what I mean?
Is that your all-time favorite movie? Because you know what,
No, I do
that's
love
a
it though.
that's a good schlock movie.
It's a fun one. That is
That's a
definitely a lot
that's
of
a
fun.
that's a top level. That's a top tier schlock movie.
Yeah,
I love Stone
that and
Cold.
Cobra, those are not guilty pleasures, but those are. Well, I'm proud that I watch this garbage type of movies. You know what I mean?
All right. So Creepshow 3. What do you got next?
All right, my number one. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I started off this month strong. I wish it would have. I wish this would have been the last movie that I watched, so I could have ended strong. Swamp Shark.
Swamp Shark is fun.
I First off, I've been in love with Christy Swanson ever since Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Um, and I when I found out that this was a made for sci-fi channel movie, my hopes, I was like, all right, this is gonna be good because, like I said, I like those type of. I love Sharknado. I like when there is that period of time where they grab an actor or actress that we haven't heard from in decades. Because DB Sweeney's in this too. They pull them out of obscurity. They might throw in an athlete or musician. Wade Boggs plays a deputy in Swamp Shark for some fucking reason. You know, why not? This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This had fun characters. This had likable characters. Robert Davey was in it. He's the big bad, you know, from Goonie, Die
Great.
Hard, and stuff like that. He's a lot of fun. They know what they're in.
Yes.
And that's what helps. When you're self-aware, you can get like the actors and actresses can get in that mind frame and they can still put forth a good effort, you know what I mean, to do the best of their ability, but they can also have a little leeway, have a little fun. I love the character. I think he was Christy Swanson's brother, the former football player, and he's basically the fucking crocodile hunter. He's so much fun in this. I love the bus boy, the nerd who's got the hard on for Christy Swanson's sister. He's so likable and sweet and such an underdog. You know what I mean?
Right.
You just want to reach in the screen, grab him by his head, and shake it. Be like, just fucking ask her out. You know what I mean? That
Right.
type of
Right.
stuff. Um, CGI be damned. There are
Yeah.
some good practical effects. Um, Overall, I really had a lot of fun with this one. It's a good crisp 90 minutes maybe. There is no drag. There is
Yeah.
no drag. It's so self-aware, it's so fun. And it's you know, boom, 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 boom. This was a lot of fun. If I could find this, albeit cheap, on like physical, I'd buy the DVD. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a lot of fun. It's perfect Sunday afternoon. Now you don't have to, but you know, crack open a beer. Maybe you're doing laundry or something like that. Just sit down on the couch, fold your clothes, drink some beer, watch TV, and I don't think you're going to waste your time. I had a
No.
lot of fun.
I knew what I was doing when I picked this one. I liked it a lot. I really
DB
did.
Sweeney was really good.
Hell yeah.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, he played Terry and Swan. You know,
Hmm.
guard the house, guard Wanda.
Hmm.
I've enjoyed DB Sweeney for a long time. Christy
Hmm.
Swanson, you're right. She's still very
Yep.
attractive young lady.
Yep.
And she's doing Hallmark movies now. And and of course Robert Davi. I mean, that guy. Everybody remembers him. I remember him from two roles. One I remember from James Bond: License to Kill. I
Okay.
remember him from that, and of course Die Hard. But the other one I remember him from, he played a good guy, and he played on the show it ran for 3 years called Profiler. That
I
was a
heard of it.
great show.
And you
I,
know, I'm an 80s kid, so I know him as one of the Fratellis from Goonies. You know what I mean?
oh, uh, with the Fell Dog. How did that Fell Dog get into this conversation? How did
Someone in the chat said something. Yeah,
Phil?
he's the comeback king. You can't be the comeback king if you won't go away.
Yeah, yeah. And, oh God.
Anyways,
So I picked Swamp Shark. I knew you're gonna have fun with that one. I have watched it before. I enjoyed it as well. Like I said before, the sci-fi movies You know, I mean, the Sharknado movies were genius. The
Mm,
Sharknado movies were genius. You know, it was like back in the 70s, they used to have two TV shows called well, actually there's three that Aaron Spelling did. One was called The Love Boat, one was called
mhm,
Fantasy Island, one was called Hotel. And on it was all they're all anthology. They always had like three or four stories each episode. And they had all these different stars come up there and do the show.
mhm.
Sharknado was like that. There was that. It was like their anthology. Every time they come out with a new Sharknado movie, they would get all these people from all the shows that were on NBC at the time and throw them in
Oh,
there.
and then that was great because you're wondering who's going to be in it. I'm a wrestling fan. There was this ongoing thing with these shark movies. Who's going to be the next wrestler in the next Sharknado movie? We've had Chris Jericho, we've had Kurt Angle, we've had so many things. There's so many horror references. Sharknado 4 is probably my favorite. They have Caroline Williams, from Texas Chainsaw 2. They have a couple other chainsaw related, actors. They're at a chainsaw selling shop. They yell the Saw as family when they gotta go fight the Sharknado with the chainsaws.
Right,
It's so self aware. And by the end of it, I haven't seen the sixth one yet. That's the one where it's time travel and shit like that. But by
right.
the end of part 5, they
They
make a
jump.
play on time travel where Ian Ziering is meeting his son, but his son is an adult, from the future, played by Dolph Lundgren. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's how they end the movie. And I'll tell you what, my daughter was very young at the time Sharknado 5 came out. She sat down and watched that film with me from beginning to end. And it wasn't just to hang out with her dad, you know what I mean? She was really getting into it. She was cheering when the sharks were getting cut up and stuff like that. So it was just a lot of fun. And if these movies like Swamp Shark are so self-aware, you know what I mean? They're not trying to insult you with how bad they are. They want you to enjoy the film. They're not just, like Polonia, shitting in their hand and throwing it on the screen and hopefully you enjoy it. You know what I mean? They're putting in the effort to make a watchable and enjoyable film, and we got that. And that's what I got with Swamp Shark. I got a really good performances, really good chemistry with these actors, a
Yeah.
lot of fun, you know.
It's an actual movie. It's actually a good movie. Like you could, like you said before, you could have something cold to drink, get popcorn, have some friends over, watch a couple of movies like this. And sci-fi excelled at this.
Oh yeah.
Sci-fi excelled, and it's the basic premise. What they did with their casting of their horror movies is the basic premise that Hallmark does for their movies. Hallmark does the same thing as you notice when we're doing our Hallmark show. They'll have their two big stars, and then they'll have a name that from the past. Like, oh yeah, I remember that, like Gregory Harrison, or something like that, or Bruce
Mm-hmm.
Black. They'll have that in there. They'll have the two main stars, and they'll have a name from the past. It works. It's a
Yep.
great formula. People come up who came up with it and cast it. It's smart, and it makes every movie like that comes out, instead of dreading it, right? Instead of
Mm-hmm.
just going, oh hell no, just no.
You
Like a
you're
movie,
you're anticipating, you're
right,
excited, you're waiting for the next one to drop.
right. I mean, it's like like the Sharknado. Look at the Sharknado movies. People love them. People love them. I mean, I think they went to the well one too many times with it, but the people still loved it, and it was an event.
Mhm.
I mean, I remember when it came out, the buzz was so freaking huge. They had to take it to the theater.
There were people like they were Sharknado by the time 2 and 3 were out, they were Sharknado parties. You know what I mean? Sharknado viewing parties because people were just having so much freaking fun with it.
I
And they
love
also wanted to see all these stars from the past. Like they got
her.
Frankie Muniz, to be in the third one. We haven't seen him since like Stay Alive. It's been at least 10 years in between that and Sharknado 3. And then again seeing Dolph Lundgren. They got Dolph Lundgren to be in part
They got
5. They have so
they
many.
got
They have like
Hasselhoff playing the dad.
yeah, the Hasselhoff is in Tara Reid. For
Yeah,
whatever for a lesser.
I'll tell you, that's one thing I really appreciated. Not I don't know how in the long term, but that was actually one of the things I was actually pretty happy to see, both for Ian Ziering and for Tara Reid, because
He
both
had
of them at that point, their careers were dead in the water.
yeah.
They really were. They weren't
Pun
doing
intended.
anything.
Yeah.
And then also, next thing when Tara Reid, her idea of getting press is because she couldn't feel one of her breasts, because she had implants and it got exposed. That was
Yeah.
the big terror thing of the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
When you're reduced to that, so the chance that they gave her hey, we're going to put you in this Sharknado movie, and Ian Ziering, I think he hadn't done
He
anything
was he was everywhere, dude. He was on Entertainment Tonight and this and that, just talking about a shitty sci-fi channel movie. You know what I mean?
he got it.
Oh
He
yeah,
got that. He got that.
yeah.
And so, and his energy and Tara's energy, and next thing it really helped. It really helped them a lot. And then,
Hmm.
any movie that can help out somebody get their career back up and running
Yeah.
can't be all that bad, can it?
No, and that's why I was so happy with Swamp Shark. It was just a lot of freaking fun.
Jamie says that she has seen none of the Sharknado movies, and that's okay. And that is
They're not they're
okay.
Yeah,
That
they're
is
not for everybody. They're not for
no,
everybody. But you
no.
know what they are? To me, they're a lot of fun. And
Uh,
Swamp Shark is in the same vein of that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's some people like I had to be careful of the movies that I watched on Saturday night. I couldn't roll. I mean, I knew who some of them were, so some were cool to watch. But if I did that every Saturday, I would be sitting there by myself.
Yeah.
My wife would be upstairs, so
Yeah.
I always make sure that I watch the very best of the best.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah, my list is done, dude. It's all on
All
you
right.
now.
So
The
so
spotlight's on Patrick.
I will tell you. I tell you what. I'll do my last two. I'll do my last two. My number two was River of Darkness, and I
Okay.
think I really surprised you with that
You
one.
did. You
I
really
like
did.
I like that movie a lot, more than I thought I was. I was really surprised at how good, because he was much better than the material. But I really thought Kurt Angle was pretty good. I was
Yeah, you
really,
did. You did praise Kurt a lot.
yeah.
I was surprised how much you enjoyed this. And again, I think it's just because I personally just found it kind of boring. I thought the pacing was very, very slow. I wanted more ghosts and than what we got type of thing. And that's just is what it is. But I'm glad that you were able to actually enjoy it. So as surprised as I was, I'm glad that you actually thought it was good.
Honestly, the pacing is definitely a factor, but that's beyond his control.
Hmm. Yeah.
Having him bounce back from the same person over and over and over, that's not
Yeah.
his fault.
Right.
That he's doing what the script says. It was a poorly written script.
Yeah.
Not very strong not a very strong director to pick that up.
Hmm.
Talk about filler. Okay,
Yeah.
here, we had you talk to the shop owner yesterday. We're gonna have you do that again today. We're gonna have you do that tomorrow. Why? You've already established,
We're gonna have you go into the diner and sit there as people are talking in the background, and then you just say, "Oh, that was some good pie and coffee," and leave. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
Listen to him talk shit about you, but then you get up there and say that was a mighty good slice of cherry pie and coffee.
Yeah.
So like they did in Twin Peaks, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
But
um,
Glacier, the actor who was Glacier in WCW, is it Ray? Ray something. I can't think of his name. He was pretty good too. I liked him a lot in that. The little
it
bit
was,
that he was like the cook from the diner, I think.
yeah, he was.
Hmm.
And the thing that it was like too was what I liked about it too. What I felt when I was watching this movie, the movie that came up there to sit there and go like like tug at me like where have I seen this before was the first Fog.
Hmm.
It was reminiscent of
Yeah,
that. The ghosts coming from the past to take care of the people of the future.
to get
The
the revenge. Yeah,
to get the revenge. It's a hoary plot, but I liked how they executed it. I thought the gore was good. I wish
yeah.
there could have been a little bit more of it.
Hmm.
They didn't make Kevin or Sid talk really. Um,
Yeah, I think Kevin Nash had like maybe 3 lines, and he's the only brother that talked out of the three.
I guess overall I was pleasantly surprised, and this definitely was Kurt Angle, and he definitely stole the whole movie. And the only thing I could think of was why didn't he go do this? I
Hmm.
mean, he's got more range than Cena.
The thing, Kurt Angle has a lot of charisma. Like he
Yeah,
really does. If you, I know you're not really a wrestling guy, but when when he is allowed to just run with it, he can poke so much fun at himself. He can be very serious, but he can also be a big fucking dork.
You
And
know,
he's entertaining. That's the thing.
I was a fan. I admit when he got addicted to the painkillers off his
Yeah.
many injuries, he broke his neck and what have you. I mean, I was so in his corner. I still am in his corner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I saw him coming back and wrestling. And I'm like, for the love of God, how come there's nobody out there telling him not to do that? Why didn't they tell
Right.
that to Adam Copeland? Don't
Yeah.
do that. You don't
Right.
need you don't need to do this anymore. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Adam Copeland's actually a halfway decent actor. I've
Yeah, he's
seen.
decent from what I've seen in a few things. Yeah.
Yep. I saw, a lot of pro wrestlers, since they have to act anyway, it's basically
Mm-hmm.
male soap operas. They know how to carry a storyline. They know how to sell it. I wasn't surprised at all to see how well
Mm-hmm.
Kurt Angle did. I really
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. The only
If
thing that
he's
really
given the right
disappointed
material and the right people
me,
to bounce off of, he's really good.
and I wish someone would have told him that back then, because I don't think he's done anything since then, really.
Not
But
really.
I wish someone would have told him, hey, you have a future if you want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if long as you get the right scripts, because that's what takes Stone Cold away from acting. He got
Mm-hmm.
tired of just playing the same damn role every movie.
Yep.
He says I could do more than this, but every single time you guys give me the same movie, I'm fighting the same fucking bad guys I did the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fighting the bad guy of the week of the month here. Vinnie Jones this month. Don the Dragon Wilson this month. Whatever it is. And he's like,
Sylvester Stallone this month. Yeah.
yeah, he never, and he's sitting there looking at Dwayne Johnson, and he's looking at John Cena, and he's going like, how come I can't get those opportunities? And he could have, and Kurt Angle could have done it too,
Mm-hmm.
but nobody really encouraged him, so he went
Yeah.
back to wrestling. But
Yeah.
it's a missed opportunity, but I really liked River of Darkness. I know you hated it, and I was
Well,
surprised.
I wouldn't say I hated it, but I didn't like it. There's a difference.
I thought I would recommend that to anybody if you want to watch a fun movie with a wrestler in it. It's better than what was that Thunder Bay or something like that. Sons of
Th-
Thunder, some bullshit. Hulk Hogan did it.
oh, Thunder in Paradise.
Ugh. All right,
All right, let's get to number one, big guy.
number
This
one.
would I'll say
Without
this before you reveal it. I told you I went below the belt on a couple of these movies. I was surprised. I didn't think you would hate River of Darkness, but I'm surprised and happy that you enjoyed it. I knew for a fucking fact you would love this movie, and I wanted to throw you a bone. And I also kind of wanted someone to throw a spotlight on it because I have, and no one talks about this film. Go ahead.
my number one film for Sharks and Schlock, and I'm going to make sure that when we do this again, I'm going to make sure that I find. Well, hell, that'd be easy for me. I got 275 of them sitting over here, but I'm going to make sure one of these movies is going to be a movie that I absolutely know that you'll love. I'm still going to give you some shit. You haven't
Oh, of
even.
course.
I'm still. You still haven't met Dustin Ferguson yet, but
Not
you but
yet.
you, but you will. You will. So my number one movie here, and this is such a delightful movie, and it's criminal. It's criminal that nobody talks about it.
Yes.
And that is Sushi Girl.
Yes.
Man, fucking amazing movie.
Okay. Before we talk about Sushi Girl, did you know anything about it going in other than like I told you that there was a great revolving cast? Like
I knew two
initial
things.
impressions.
I knew two things about it. One, I knew that Magnet had released it. And Magnet
Okay.
is the action arm of Magnolia, and I
Mhm.
knew that Courtney Palm had done it. And
Okay.
me and Steven actually approached her about doing an interview,
Okay.
and she had requested money. So we talked about Courtney Palm, but that was it. I mean, I saw it at Dollar Tree. I saw that at Dollar Tree.
Mhm.
I actually picked up a copy, but I
Yep.
had never gotten to it yet.
That's why I'm glad because I knew you had a copy. So even if they took it off Tubi, I knew you had access to it. And the time I made my list, I knew you hadn't at least reviewed it. So I'm like, I gotta get you to watch this film. And I'm
Yeah,
so glad you. I'm not. Yes, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it, but there was no way that you wouldn't.
yeah. This is a banger of a movie right here. Um, action from the very first. A beautiful plot. A shocking connection to Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I said Kill Bill. If you guys are a
Mm-hmm.
fan of Kill Bill, Horatio Hanzo Hattori Hanzo makes an appearance in Sushi Girl. It's Sonny Chiba,
Mm-hmm.
and if you remember him, I got to talk about this now because I was so excited.
Yeah, good.
When you go back to Kill Bill, if you go back to Kill Bill when he's running his little bar, and you see him how he's dressed, the little hat, the coat, the robes, and everything else. He dresses the exact same way to the T. To the T. It's him. It's Hanzo Hattori.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's Hanzo, and it's like that is amazing. Now, I don't think they could have announced his name because of the right situation, but you know
Correct.
damn well who it is by just seeing it.
Right.
And that's not the first time that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Martin, who played the transporter, he made an appearance in Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that movie, but not by name. But once you see him, you knew who he was. You could
Mm-hmm.
tell by the clothes. It was Frank Martin. So it's not
Yeah,
the
and
first
then
time.
lots of there's Tom Jane did the Punisher. Well, there's like a little short out there called Dirty Laundry. They can't say he's Frank Castle, but he walks like Frank Castle. He dresses like Frank Castle. It's that type of thing. Like they want you to believe, they want you to know that this is that character. They just can't legally say it.
Right. And that's
Yeah,
what they did with Sushi Girl. So
yeah,
I'm sitting there watching that. My mind is blown. And once again, he's just like he's in place. He's basically the whole. He's behind the movie. His
hmm,
his actions allow the movie to happen.
yep.
Uh, Great cast. Mark Hamill,
Ooh, I loved him in this.
man.
He's so sadistic in this. What
You
I
know,
like about him, like he doesn't look like Mark Hamill. He's got like a page boy haircut, nerd glasses. He's very effeminate. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yes,
Nice suit and tie, but he's sadistic. He tortures Noah Hathaway. It's great seeing Noah Hathaway. You know what I mean? From Troll, Never Ending Story, Battlestar Galactica. It's great
Battlestar
seeing
Galactica.
him. You don't fucking recognize him because of how thin he is and his hairstyles, but it's great seeing him. And that poor bastard is put through so much torture in this film. And Mark Hamill just brings it. And Mark Hamill is so sadistic, he's enjoying what he's doing to Noah Hathaway's character. And I think if Mark would just get off the frickin' Star Wars Joker train and show people that he can act, he
Yeah,
probably would have had a more successful career.
I think part of it is the fact that nobody gave him the chance.
You think so?
No, yes, absolutely. I'm sure look, the minute, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why this movie's not even heard of, because they didn't
Mm,
publicize it, because once they did, it'd be like Luke Skywalker. So
yeah.
I'm sure they're going like, yeah, we can't, how are we going to do this? How are we going to market Mark Hamill? Do that in every movie. I mean, try to market him after Star Wars. It was always Star Wars. I mean, he
Yeah.
really did. I mean, even he was. I mean, even after the original came out, he tried.
Hmm.
He did a movie Corvette Summer.
Hmm.
I think that did okay for him. But as far as that goes, no, nobody's going to cast Mark Hamill because it's the comparisons. The first thing you hear is going to be this Luke Skywalker. And how can you move and how can you create when that happens to you?
True.
I mean, I look at people like, and the thing about it is, though, if you look at it, you think about like Elijah Wood,
Hmm.
Lord of the Rings. But the thing what it was that Elijah Wood actually had a career before that.
Yeah.
He had done several movies before the
He
Lord
was
of
a
the Rings.
child. Yeah, he was a child actor. Yeah.
But I don't think Mark Hamill had that opportunity. I think he came out there, he did the Star Wars movies. I think it's one of the reasons why he dragged his feet and coming back. He tried, and that's one of the reasons why he did voiceover work is that people would not see him and
Right.
instantly go like, "Oh, it's Luke Skywalker." and his voice work is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
He's a fucking fantastic Joker.
And the thing is, he was recently in Midnight Mass for Netflix. He was fantastic in this. If he can, and I think that's the problem. If he can play these sadistic characters, it's like putty in his hands. He can be a sadistic character because he's very sadistic in Midnight Mass. But again, people like, would you like if you weren't as into film as you are, Patrick? If you heard Luke Skywalker's going to be the bad guy, you wouldn't take it serious.
I would be very curious.
You would.
I would.
Mm-hmm.
And to
Okay.
me, it's like go back to Elijah Wood and look at some of the roles that he took,
Mm-hmm.
right? After
Yeah.
playing Frodo the Lovable Hobbit. In fact, one of his roles was so strong that it chased our friend Mike away. he exited the door stage right. He
I
did
don't think it was Elijah himself that chased him away. I think it was the movie. But
well, but he I'm still stunned at that.
and Dennis is
I'm
right. The
still, you know
Guyver.
what's funny? The
Yeah.
door's still open, and I'm still waiting for him to come back from the store.
He went out for a pack of cigarettes, Patrick. It's been 2 years. Yeah.
But what he
I
did,
get your point.
but he did Sin City, right?
Yeah, it's good in Sin
Look at
City.
that. Here he is. He's a sadistic killer. He cut off Carla's hand and ate it. All of a sudden, and then next thing you know, now he's in the Maniac remake. It's like that ain't Frodo. And people
No,
saw him a lot different. All of a sudden, it wasn't like they're seeing him as Frodo. Now they're seeing him as they're seeing him as in Sin City as a sadistic killer.
Elijah's a big horror movie fan, and now that his life's set, he doesn't have to act a day in his
Oh my
life because of the Lord of the Rings movie. Now he can do these weird movies like Cooties or Don't Tell Daddy and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I don't think Mark Hamill ever got to that point.
No,
Not
I don't
until
think so either.
not till the last trilogy.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Could you imagine if Mark Hamill would have been paid the equation of what that they made for Lord of the Rings?
Oh yeah.
He owned a studio,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah. And
he didn't.
Elijah owns a horror production company, so that But it's just a fantastic cast in Sushi Girl. Tony Todd, Michael Biehn, Danny Trejo. A lot of these roles, they're there for
Jeff Fahey was
Jeff
in it.
Fahey. Yeah. And a lot of these roles are small, but it's still cool to see them because they're good in what they do.
And you know what? How cool is it too? How cool is it too to actually see someone like Tony Todd actually get the fucking flex in a movie?
Yeah.
Like to actually like lead the movie. Holy crap!
He's the lead. He's the lead of this. Yeah, it's great.
And I'm so frustrated when I see some of these movies like this with Mark Hamill or Noah Hathaway and Tony Todd. They're in it for like 5 minutes. You have to put the name on the bucket, name on the title, and that's it. No one uses them like. Did you ever think do you ever think that Tony Todd would like to be a lead a feature? Could you ever think about that?
He was a classic stage actor before he got lucky in horror. You know what I mean? And I think that's why he's so good in Sushi Girl, because he is given the range to act. He's not there to show up, fight some zombies, or kill somebody and then leave. You know what I mean?
I watched him in a movie on Tubi. They just released it called Hellblazers.
Okay.
And sure enough, he's in there for 2 quick scenes, and that's it. And they didn't
Got to
even
pay the bills.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, you couldn't have made him you couldn't have just had him stay on the set for a couple more days to give him something more to do. We love to see this guy act. He's so he's got that awesome voice. Him and Keith David, they got those awesome voices. It's like it just frustrates me. It frustrates me for him because I love this. This is what I loved about Sushi Girl. Like, look at all those great actors getting the chance to really flex their muscles and do it individually. But honestly, the best acting scene in this movie was Courtney Palm.
And which one was Courtney Palm? Who was Courtney?
The girl.
That's right. She was the sushi girl. She was the actual sushi girl. Yeah.
She stole the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Her laying there day after day basically naked, other than fish on top of her. Um, and seeing her different reactions and how she could or could not react, because because Hattori told her. That's right, I said it. Hattori Hanzo told her, "You cannot move.
Right.
You cannot blink. You cannot say a word. You cannot do anything." And we see her emotions. We see her fear. We see her grief.
Mm-hmm.
We see her grief.
Yeah, when we find out who she is and everything, yeah.
Is and she knows, like, I believe she knew that Noah Hathaway didn't have anything to do with what caused her to move, to take her step, because
Right.
I showed her, her tears came out, and I do believe that
Yeah.
was for him.
And
But
that's what was so good is, like I said, Noah Hathaway will always be Atreyu from Neverending Story. No matter what, the man, he's probably, I think, in his early 50s now. He'll always be Atreyu. He can't escape that. But if people would just give him a chance, how good was he in Sushi Girl?
really
He
good.
was so sympathetic. He was so innocent, but he was so loyal to these guys. He didn't give them up. He didn't say a word, and he's still
No,
just tortured. And you just feel, and his torture scenes are brutal. Not just Mark Hamill, the guy that's beating him with the sock full
yes.
of, I don't know if it's quarters or whatever it is. It's been a while, but he is just relentless against him. And like he, by the end of it, before spoilers, you put two and two together, he doesn't make it out. Still see the film regardless.
Oh yeah.
He's not left. He's not a pretty picture, but you
No.
feel the pain that he's emoting. He's such a talented actor.
And yeah, and the fact of it, the only thing I could have actually made this movie, like, elevated to, like, for me, I mean, it's already elevated to A plus. But
Mhm.
I'm thinking, man, how would that movie would have taken looked if we would have taken away the big biker dude?
Yeah,
What if you would have subtracted him and put in Jackie Earl Haley in that role with those other two?
that would have been good. I don't know if was Jackie on this come did Little Children come out yet? I don't
Uh,
remember.
The Little Children came out in 2005 or six, I think. So this came out in 2011,
He
2012.
he may have done it, but once you're already nominated for an Oscar on your big comeback, you might not be doing independent for a while. But who
Yeah,
knows? Jackie could have brought it, man. Jackie is a scary dude, but he already did Little Children. He already did Watchmen. So
yeah.
I think his comeback was set.
Human
But
Target,
that's a
love that show.
yeah.
Rest in peace.
Hmm. Yeah, he would have been a good addition though. You're right.
But I think Sushi Girl is definitely, well, I can already tell you it's going to be my final 20 of the year, top 20 of the
Good.
year.
Good to hear.
It's an amazing film, and well casted, well written. I had no complaints at all over it at all. There, everything, and people were saying, well, what about the torture? Absolutely fit the story. It
Hmm.
had to happen. It had to happen.
It's
But
not gratuitous. It's not like Hostile. It's
no,
not Saw. It's not fucking Terrifier 2. You know what I mean? Gore for gore's sake. It has a purpose in the story. And I don't think it's too over the top. You know what I mean? It's
no,
it's cringy. Like the
it's the
part where
same level
with Hamill sticking him with the needles, that's cringy, but it's not cutting people in half. You know what I
I
mean? It's not
think the same level as Reservoir Dogs.
yeah. I the scene with the needles is no different than the cop with the ear. You know what I mean in Reservoir Dogs.
Right. So I mean, if you could handle Heat, if you could handle any cop movie, or or the heist movie like that, you could easily get by. You could easily will watch
Yeah.
this. Plus, you got Courtney sitting on the table, and she was lethal as hell.
Yeah.
She, I love the ending of the movie.
Mhm.
I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, this is the, and like I said, in conclusion, next time we do this, whoever we do it with, whether we're against each other or we tag team up against some other suckers, I mean, some other friends, um, we're gonna make sure we include one hell of a good movie into our
Maybe
pick.
maybe we'll bring in my buddy Dennis. We'll give him a time to shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if Dennis wants to climb into the arena, oh shit! Actually tell you the truth, man, that wouldn't be an answer. That you watching you two guys go at it, I might have to buy some popcorn for that. I would I would buy popcorn for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would hype that up, but you
Yeah.
gotta get some rest first.
Yeah.
Because this took out we what we did for ours is we were gonna do, normally we do these type of movies where we watch one movie every day of the week. But we decided that we're gonna do it once every week and just stretch it out into July. And I gotta be honest with you, that was probably the best way to do it.
I'll tell
Doing
you,
it 5 days in
if
a row.
I love you to death, Patrick, but if we were doing one movie per day, I probably would have quit after Wednesday. I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
able to do it. I
No,
wouldn't have been able to do it.
no, I don't think I could have. Well, I might have been, I might have just plowed ahead with it, to see what Sushi Girl was about.
Right.
Um, but yeah, but I think doing it once a week for 5 weeks, I thought we got the best for what we got. Um,
Hmm.
Congratulations on your views.
Thank you.
People really seem to really respond to your reviews, and it really helped put the whole series over. We're
Yeah,
hoping that this video here will do the same. And I had a lot of fun. And
I did.
thank you so much for doing this.
This again. This was fun, and it's fun to torture your friends with bad movies. People like to do that, but it was fun just doing something consistent for a month. Um, it was fun seeing people interested and enjoying our little journey. Shout out, to Dennis and to Ginger Ninja. Those were the ones that I saw on both of our channels. Just commenting away, sharing and stuff like that. So it's good to know that what we're doing, people are enjoying. You know what I mean?
It's
And
sort of fun making your friends' knees buckle too, where
yeah,
they don't dare to go inside, that dark hallway because it might be a little dark in there, and
yeah.
that entertains me to no end as well. It's like, you know, I don't think I can handle
Dennis
it.
Dennis just said he's in. So
Oh, okay. Well,
and what I do want to say, tonight was fun because I can't. My eyes are bad. Oregon Zan, her
yeah,
channel. We mentioned her earlier. The fact that she's interested and willing to watch and review Sharks of the Corn on her channel because of how much I shit on it. Mission accomplished. Because she may really enjoy this. I just subbed to her channel. I've not seen her content yet. I don't know her taste in films. If you love it, God bless you, girl. If you hate it, I already warned you. So it's you made the mistake yourself. But it was cool. Like tonight, like people were enjoying it. It was cool seeing Swamp Sharks getting like over 500 views. What?
hell yeah.
At first, I was giving you shit. I'm like, man, I watched Sharks of the Corn, and less than 40 people watch it. You know what? In the end, I don't care because I was still having fun with you. And like I said, I was happy that I still got a response with original content and not like clickbaiting, and we'll leave it at that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm glad people did have a fun ride with both of us through this very bumpy road. And we've already decided that we will be doing this. We haven't decided how often. We're not doing this every month. No, no
No,
way.
no.
We're not
I
doing
think
this every couple months. No way. But we
I'm
will
thinking maybe
decide.
three,
We're
maybe
definitely
four, maybe
doing Sharks and Schlock every year. But maybe in December, maybe we'll do this again. Maybe we'll do you
Christmas.
know
Christmas.
Christmas Schlock. Something like that. We'll think of a more catchy name. But yeah, maybe we'll do Schlocky. We wish you a Schlocky Christmas or something like that.
I I can't wait to see. Now I'm saying about this. Now I'm really. I think you and Dennis that'll be a hell of a fight right there. That'll be a lot
If
of fun to watch.
all I'm gonna say is I know you are not on X because you hate it, and I understand why. But if anyone has followed me and Dennis on X and our conversations, we we ingest, we really argue all the time. If you've seen any of our content together, we're always arguing, but we always have a fun time. And that's why I recommend people to go to Dennis's channel. I'm not just shilling him out because he's my buddy. You know what I mean? I have a lot of buddies on YouTube that I don't promote because sometimes you don't make the best content. But Dennis is one that I think would be a welcome addition to We Wish You a Shitty Christmas You know what I mean? Or however we do this. And yeah, you just signed your own death warrant, my friend Dennis. So we'll see.
I just made a comment because they're saying how bad movies make good movies better. I will have to say this that I don't have any bad movies in my collection. You know, all my movies are excellent. You won't find.
I will say this: you get a lot of your stuff from the Dollar Tree and from the library for 50 cents. You're getting at least your money's worth.
Man, I got some great movies from there. I got some fantastic movies. I really do. Hell yeah. I get the bang. I get the most out of your bang. Um,
Hmm.
I'm pleased with this. And
I am too.
well, what do you got coming up on your channel? As we will go ahead and wrap this on up.
I
So what do you got coming up?
recently, well, first off, my channel. Anyone in the chat that enjoyed me tonight, please go to my YouTube channel. Hey, Internet Eric here. It's spelled just like my name in the caption. I discuss movies. It's not just horror. I discuss movies. I recently finished the Wreck and Quarantine franchise. That was a lot of fun from beginning to end. Just today, first off, we have a playlist of Sharks and Schlock on both of our channels. Both all my videos and all of Patrick's videos, we each have our own playlist. Please check that out. Just today, I uploaded a video on a dark song, which was a banger. To quote Patrick, a banger of a film. I had a little bit of problem with the ending. That notwithstanding, it was a fantastic film that no one talks about. And then, well, after finishing Quarantine and Wreck, you saw it on my community post. I had a bunch of franchises up, and I was giving people the vote. I know you wanted me to do Transformers, but it
Yeah.
was a tie, and I just said fuck it. So I had my daughter choose. I literally went into her room. It was between Puppet Master and The Howling. I literally said, "Hey, boo, killer dolls or werewolves? What am I discussing?" She says werewolves. So I'm sadly going to jump headfirst into the Howling franchise.
How many movies? Is there 8 or 9 of them now?
Jinja is a Howling. I don't know if he's a Howling fan, but he's discussed the Howling and stuff like that. He would know. I know there's at least 7. I've
Yeah.
already seen the first Howling movie. I've reviewed it, and I did not like it, and that hurts me because Joe Dante is my favorite director of all time, and it's his only film that I do not enjoy, and I've heard it only goes downhill from there.
Well, it doesn't go downhill because there's one with Sybil Danning in it, and that's always a good thing.
Well, maybe if I put it on mute, we'll find out.
Yeah, but watch it on
And then
YouTube. Sybil
me and Alex, me and Frenzy, my personal mad scientist, my co-host of the old podcast. Oh god, let me look at my calendar real quick. Hold on, bear with me. We are getting back together Saturday, August 17th. We don't have the time yet. We're getting back together and we are going to have a watch along for Mortal Kombat Annihilation. We're going to keep the
I'll be
schlocky
there.
theme going. We're keeping the schlocky theme going. Um, we did an episode on Two Bearded Losers about the original Mortal Kombat, how we love that film, and how he hated the newest one that came out. And he said he'd only seen the first 5 minutes of Annihilation, and he loved what he saw.
Man, it's a
And
badass movie.
and I told him, I said, well, don't watch it. Eventually, we're going to do a watch along. We had to sadly end the podcast for personal reasons, but now we have a reason. We're going to finally do a watch along on August 17th. Next month, there is a Friday the 13th. We will be live Friday the 13th. Don't know the time yet, but Frenzy is going to host that one. It'll be on my channel, but he's going to host that one. And that poor bastard is going to try to discuss and explain the entire Friday the 13th franchise timeline. So that is
Oh,
what I have planned so far. So Godspeed to Frenzy.
yeah, that'll be interesting. I thought I had a time like the first 4 movies encompassed like 2 days.
Well, the first movie is one day. The second movie takes place the beginning takes place a couple of months later, but then it jumps 5 years. And then Friday the 13th, part 3 actually takes place on Saturday the 14th. Like he's deep diving and getting dates and stuff like that. It's going to be interesting.
that'll be very cool. And I'm glad you're doing this. I was holding my breath and like, please be doing this on a Saturday so I can watch it.
Hmm.
On the 16th, when you said the 16th, all of a sudden when you said you're going to be doing it, I was like, please don't let it be the 16th. Don't do that.
No, no, it's the
Um,
17th. Yep.
the 17th. I got a matinee show on the 17th, but that's in the afternoon, so I'll
Yeah,
be there.
it'll be an evening show.
I love Annihilation. Again, it's like one of those going against type. It was
Hmm.
James Remar, who at that time was known for the Warriors and was
Yep.
known for Cotton Club and known for 48 Hours. He was a
Yep.
well-established heavy, and this was the first time that I saw him be a good guy. And again, all these guys that are used to playing bad guys, man, it's more, it's like people say, well, what happens when a good guy plays a bad guy? Well, that's interesting. That's interesting, like Elijah Wood and Mark Hamill.
Hmm.
I think it's more interesting the reverse
Hmm.
when they're used to playing a villain and then they come back as a hero. I think
Yeah.
it's a much more interesting a dynamic for me because
Hmm.
it's harder to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easier to be a villain, but it's hard to
Yeah.
be a hero.
Yeah.
Um, and James Remar plays Raiden, and
Yeah.
right after Christopher Lambert, I loved it. I thought it was great. You hear no complaints from me from Annihilation, though I know it gets a lot of hate, but I don't know why because it's badass.
Yeah.
It's better than the first one. It
I
really
wouldn't go
is.
that far. I wouldn't go that far,
Well, I
but that's
would.
just personal taste.
I'll be right. I'll be happy because the first one is so anticlimactic. The big fight at the end of the first one was like it should have been big, and
Hmm.
it just. But there's another movie sort of like the similar theme that I love too, and it's a badass movie that not many people really talk about too much. It's called DOA, and
The
it has
one with the
Kevin
Jamie
Nash.
Priestley in it and
Yeah,
Kevin Nash. Yeah, I've seen that. It's fun. That's
that's a
another video game movie. Yeah, it's another video game movie. Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. All right. I got what I got this. I guess I got time for one thing. I'll mention this. Though we do on Tuesday we have Paul Shadow coming in. But on the 16th of August at 8 o'clock, we'll see the return of Corin Nemec to the channel, and
Nice.
he's gonna come back and hang out with us and talk about
He
his
seems so cool as hell, dude.
he really is.
I'll tell you between him and Uwe Boll, I think those are your biggest gets in my I guess you'd say lifetime of people who I enjoy. Because Corin's fun, and Corin is not above doing these sci-fi channel movies either. That's what I like about
I
him.
love him.
He
Oh
just
no,
likes to act.
no. You know what? I reviewed one of his movies called Sea Beast.
Hmm.
You look for people like him in these movies, like the London brothers are in it. Jason and Jeremy, they do sci-fi movies. They
Hmm.
elevate everything. Jeff Fahey does them. They elevate it.
Hmm.
Eric Roberts elevates it. And no, and it was through Corin. He did Sea Beast that I discovered Camille Sullivan. And Camille
Hmm.
Sullivan did one of the best IFC movies that we've ever talked about. In fact, it was so good. I went my Blu-ray copy doesn't work, so I went and got a copy of on DVD, and that is Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, Hunter x
And
Hunter is fantastic, dude. Devin Sawa and Nick Stahl, they're having such a great comeback, dude. Devin Sawa's everywhere.
yeah,
And what I love about Devin, he is so funny. He knows where he was, this teen beat, heartthrob of the 90s. Dude, he is so funny. And I'm so happy that both him and Nick got clean and now they're having this comeback. Nick's doing a lot
yeah.
of indie drama. Devin's everywhere from the new Chucky series. He's worked with Stallone. He's worked with Travolta. He's worked with Sharon Stone. Dave Bautista. I am very happy that they were able to conquer those demons. You know what I mean? We won't get too into it. You can do your research, and I'm happy to see that they're getting the success again.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm so happy. Though I will say there's absolutely no humor in Hunter x Hunter. That's for sure.
No,
Um,
no, it is especially that finale, but it is a great film.
I will say I would sit there and say I'd rather watch Sushi Girl for that. I mean, if it came right down to it, I would take Sushi Girl as the one I would watch out of the two if I had to, because Hunter x
Yeah.
Hunter, that will live in your head for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
That will stay with you. That's a
Yeah.
badass movie.
It's a great one.
All right, then we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want to thank everybody in the chat that came out and hung out with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for subbing to each other. That's great. And of course, if you're new to our channels, Eric's connections down below. Mine's here. Him and I are both racing to 1500. I think he's only like 100 behind me, but we're racing to 1500.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think I'm at 1375. You know, it'd be great if I just got to 1400. I'd be happy.
I just want to get to 15. Bring me to 15, and I'll be tickled with that. Then we'll go forward from that. Thank you guys all for your support,
Absolutely.
and we'll be back. We'll be back sooner than later for Sharks and Schlock 2. And good night from me and Brett Kelly. That's it. Have a great night.
Cheers, everybody.
And you can stay right where you're at, mister.
I'm not going nowhere. Good night, everyone.